And so the door opens on yet another World Cup. A full weekend of lobbies played and a pool showcase last week, and we are finally here with the opening stream of the OS World Cup 2025. And you all know what that means. It is time to reveal our 40 qualifying teams this year. If you missed the format change, there are now 40 teams that will make it into a playing stage of the OS World Cup this year. Today is where we are going to announce those final seeds. I am Chillier Pear, your host, joined today by three others, Dio, iFlame, and Miles. Good evening now, gentlemen.
Good evening, Chillier. Pleasure to be back. Very happy always to be on the qualifiers seeding reveal for OWC. I'm excited to reveal some of these results. There's some very interesting placements this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some people be very surprised about some of these placements. It's going to be a good one this year for sure.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, always happy to be back, and just the surprise, the heartbreak, all of it is coming up right here. Get the seeding revealed, then we get the groups coming after, and I am just so ready.
And ready we are. It's taking quite a bit of time to get these qualifiers results done, and in lots of lobbies this weekend, some that took quite a bit of time to get through. I think our average time for a qualifiers lobby was almost 2 hours this year. So definitely a lot of time and a lot of dedication from our reffing and staff teams. So much thanks to everyone who made qualifiers happen in the way that it did. And thanks to all of our teams who ended up playing through qualifiers this year. As a quick overview for everyone in chat who has not seen a seed reveal before, we are going to work our way up from the bottom seeded placement all the way to the number 1 seeded placement. So we sort of ramp up in the team placements overall on maps. We are going to move rather quickly in the interest of time through the teams that were eliminated through the qualifying phase of the tournament. And then we're going to slowly spend more time on teams as we move up through our contenders, challengers, and our legends teams that are going to be moving into the group stage, and of course the ones that are getting buys into the bracket. But without further ado, it's time to jump into our 65th seeded team to lead us off today. Or 64th seeded team, apologies. I will make a quick note that there was one team that did not play through qualifiers this year that we will be skipping past. 64th seed playing through is Mongolia. Unfortunately, this year going to be dropping out through that qualifying phase. A little bit towards the bottom on these maps. Best map overall, 62nd on Deer Tracks. Hard Rock 2, pretty difficult one from them. Next up, in 63rd seed is Ireland. Again, one of those bottom seeds here. 60th overall on Hidden 2 and DT2. Moving up a little bit of the line there in placements. Next up, 62nd seed overall, North Macedonia. Moving into the 50s now for their best map placement. Nomad 4. Number 54 overall, and a new team to the World Cup this year. Welcome. We wish you best of luck and hope to see you back next year. Number 61. Next up, going to be Estonia. One of the lower placements that we've seen from them, unfortunately, this year. 48th last year, and their best map overall going to be Nomad 2 at 53rd overall. Unfortunate drop for them this year. Hope to see them back in form next year. Number 60. Gonna come up next is Georgia, improving on their placement from last year from 64th. Number 1 map overall for them going to be that DT1 at 54th, and a significant number of placements moving into the 50s for Georgia this time around. Well done to them, making an improvement this time around. Next up, number 59 is Puerto Rico, making their appearance in the OS World Cup down here in the lower seeds, moving into the 40s now for placements overall. 43rd overall on that Nomad 1, and not too far behind 48th on that Nomad 2. So we're starting to turn up a little bit on these seeds. You can see us ramping through here. Moving on to number 58. Gotta be one of the highest placements we've seen for a first-time appearance in an OS World Cup. Malta going to be taking this one here. Lots of placements in the 50s across the board here. Biggest standout from them going to be that Hidden 2, one of the harder maps in this pool, as we're going to see moving through these results. Well done to Malta for their debut. Number 57, up next is Croatia again. No placement from last year showing up for OWC this time around through qualifiers. Not quite making the cut, but again, a lot of standout 50 placements here. 2 maps at 55, going to be that Hard Rock 2 and the Nomad 3, actually. Another tough one there across the board for Croatia. Next up, seed 56 is Bosnia and Herzegovina, moving up from 65th, almost 10 placements from last year. A big improvement for them, and we're seeing that number 54th overall on Hidden 2 and Hard Rock 2. Well done to them. The first team over a 1 million average score in 56th here, and that number is only going to increase as we move through the remainder of these seeds. Number 55, up next is Bulgaria, dropping just a tiny bit from last year, 53rd last time in 2024, and a couple of maps that are big standouts moving into the 30s, Nomad 1 and 2, 38 and 39. And we're starting to see these teams maybe potentially break into those top 32 and top 40 overall, as that is our marker for qualifying this year. Moving into 54th seed is Macau, moving up immensely from that 63rd seed from last year. Big difference, starting to see more of those 40s overall and no placements in the 60 range here. A big difference for them. 41 overall on DT2, going to be their best placement this time around. Next up, seed 53, Czechia, going to be coming in with a massive 28th on Hard Rock 1. That's right, we're moving into the 20s overall on these, and a unfortunate drop from 51st seed, but still very respectable, maintaining the same range. A very, very impressive Hard Rock score overall from this team. 38th overall on the mod pool is quite impressive. That does meet the qualifying range on the Hard Rock pool, so well done to Czechia. Moving up into 52nd now is the United Arab Emirates. Last year's placing 16th. I know that seems like a big drop, but a lot of big roster switches for the UAE this year, and an unfortunate switch up for them. Still some decent performances overall. Hard Rock and Double Time in the 40s for them this year, with their standout performance being number 37 overall on DT2. I don't actually believe they were number 16th last year, so I'm just going to fact check myself, but I read it out because the number was there. I do not remember off the top of my head what they placed, but UAE, number 52nd this time around. Number 50 now, or 51, next up on our list is Latvia, from 42nd last year. A little bit of a drop for them this time around, but some respectable performances, and a number 39th overall on the DT3. Just doing well overall to get them to this seed. Number 50th overall now going to be Mexico, dropping from 34th, unfortunately. So qualifying placement for this year's format last year, not quite making the cut this time around, sadly. Moving up 47th overall on Nomad and Double Time, with their standout performance being Nomad 137th and number 38th on that DT1. Some of the switches on this roster, unfortunately, pushing them just out of that range. We hope to see them back in form for next year. Number 49th, next up on the list, is Lithuania, from 47th last year. They are making a little bit of a drop, but still maintaining a close placement. Hopefully going to be in range for next year based on some of these scores. It's likely possible. 42nd on the Nomad 2, 34th on the DT1, and moving into the 40s on that Nomad pool and DT pool overall. Very close to that range. We're starting to get within 10 seeds of that qualifying placement for groups this year. Moving on to 48th is going to be Switzerland. That is not their placement from last year. Again, don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I do know who the 14th seed was last year, and it was not Switzerland. But well done to them for their playing overall this year. Multiple maps in the 40s, almost every map across the board in the top 50. and number 37th overall on Hard Rock 1. Again, one of the harder maps in the pool this year, so very impressive from them. Moving through, they went from 55th last year, so an improvement for Switzerland. Well done to them. Number 47th from Switzerland, right above, is going to be Saudi Arabia, not playing last year, showing up to the World Cup and just barely missing that range of the 40th, looking pretty good overall on certain pools. And number 20th on Hidden 2. Very, very well done to them on that slot. That is a placement that we don't normally see from teams in this range. So that is very, very impressive for a team at this range. We don't normally see that. So well done on the reading map overall there. Number 46, then we're going to slow things down after this point here, just to give you all a chance to digest this and give the rest of our casters the opportunity to give their thoughts on those seeds as we start to reel it in here. What are our thoughts on some of the placements overall? Maybe some more detailed stats.
I mean, I think probably a lot of people are surprised for Mexico to not make it in. Some unfortunate roster changes for them this year. I think is probably the most surprising placement within the bottom few teams that we have had here. So probably the most surprising placement, but unfortunate year for Mexico.
Yeah, I would say other than Mexico, most of the placements have been pretty expected for most of these teams. Unfortunately, had a bit of a tougher time putting rosters together. So I think the biggest surprises are still to come.
Yeah, as well as United Arab Emirates. I know they were a team that a lot of people were putting as a dark horse to qualify this year. So them and Mexico, probably the two maybe highest percent pick rate on the pick'em teams that haven't qualified, unfortunately.
And I think as we sort of look at the percent max increase as we sort of work our way up from those bottom seeds, for those watching here, the lowest percent max that we saw from our 64th seed this year was a 1.922. So far, moving all the way up to our 47th seed in Saudi Arabia, have increased to a 4.667 and an average score of 629K, all the way up to a 1.5 million average score. And it is only going to increase further from this point as we continue working our way into the last 6 seeds before we go through. Any final closing thoughts on those teams before we maybe start to spend a little bit more time as we work close to that contending spot, or would we like to continue on?
I think we're ready
Let's
to
move
continue.
on.
Chat is
6-7.
standing a number. You know what? That's it. That's it. That's it. You know what?
Miles is removed from the World Cup. Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye, Miles.
All right.
Good.
Well, luckily, none of that number in the next spot here. Moving into 46th overall is India, improving from last year in 52nd. A big part of the narrative for India last year was actually that we thought this was a country that had some potential if they could continue with their players being, consistent in the community and improving, that they would do better as they continue playing World Cups. And look at them moving up 6 slots this year, 25th overall on that No Mod 3. So very good stuff from India to improve that placement into very close to that qualifying range. Moving.
Yeah, I think a big thing for India is they have a very good national tournament scene. So I think they're going to continue to improve as the years go on. So good luck to India in the future.
It's Slovakia. Starting at our 45th spot, we're going to start to spend a little bit more time on these teams. For those of you in chat, we're going to give everyone a chance to give their piece on these teams so that we show them a little bit of love for getting a super high placement here close to that range. Slovakia 45th this year from 57th last year. That is a 12 seed improvement. What are our thoughts on that one?
Yeah, and they definitely had some good scores, notably that DT3 and that No Mod 2 especially. So teams are still starting to get much, much better at this point. They've got to be really happy with that improvement. And even though they didn't quite make the cutoff this year, I think all they need is a slight improvement next year, and they could very well make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have a lot of experienced high-ranking players who, if they put a little more time into tournaments and they get a little bit better, with the new change in group stage, if we do that again next year, seed 45, just need 5 more seeds to get into the tournament.
Shout out to DRX Vimic there at rank 71. Their top performer, number 82 overall by performance score, played all 20 of the maps that Team Slovakia played and 11 of 11 for their counted runs. Averaged almost 500k on this qualifiers pool, which is a very solid run.
Well done to Slovakia. We hope to see you improve further next year, maybe moving into that top 40. With that, we'll move on to our number 44th seed this year is going to be Hungary. From 40th last year, unfortunate to see really, really close. They made it in as of last year. Unfortunately, just a little bit of a drop this time around. And even with some good placements, it was just unfortunately barely not enough to slip into that bracket. A very, very good hidden performance for them. That is a 33rd average for that, which is very good for a team at this seed range.
Another one of those teams where we say goodbye to a lot of people's pick'ems, as I think a lot of people had Hungary in the pick'ems, and understandably so, but just not quite enough to make it in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people reference Hungary when paired with Austria in this year's edition of 3-Digit World Cup, performed really, really well. I think not a lot of people expected that, but here on their own, bigger tournament, you have to field 4 players per map. There's not enough that Defi can do for the squad, unfortunately.
Well, next up in our 43rd seed is Colombia, 38th last year as well. Another team that unfortunately just missed the mark this time around, even though the last year's placement would have just slipped them through. A very good performance overall on that Nomad here, and almost everything across the board. This is one of those teams that you see every once in a while where they just did really solid across the board, but barely missed the benchmark. All they needed was one mod pool to maybe boost them up, and this could have been different, but best of luck to them for pushing through to that top 40 next year. I think they've got it within reach.
Yeah, this is a team that I feel like I saw most people having Colombia making it through in their pick'em, so definitely going to sting just to miss out on that cutoff. But they showed some solid consistency across the pool, had some good scores, and I think put up a solid performance regardless.
Well, next up on our listing is 42nd. As we approach the 40th seed, it's going to be Israel. Unfortunately, not making the cutoff this time around. 1 seed improvement from last year, so they are slowly working their way up to that qualifying spot, but just wasn't enough this year, even with that very, very impressive Nomad 2 score of 15th overall and 27th on Hard Rock 1, 28th over for that Hard Rock pool in general, and 38th for Nomad. Unfortunately, the hidden and double time pools may be doing just a little bit too damage. 45th and 50 on all 3 of the DTs did do maybe just a bit too much for them.
Yeah, this is a team that I think a lot of people had qualifying and want to see back, especially after I think some very fun matches, for example, versus the United States in round of 32 a few years ago comes to memory, but not going to be the year we see them back in the World Cup again.
I think a bit of damage was done to them by this HR pool structure, because the core roster for Israel, Mr. Potato, Painted Koala, and Chip are all really strong HR players, but the HR one being, to a lot of people, a difficult stream map, I think did a lot of damage to them, who are, primarily aim-focused players.
With Israel, this is the coveted spot now as we approach the 40th seed. The one team that is very unfortunately going to miss out by 1 placement, and there's always one. 41st seed for OWC 2025 is going to be Belarus. 27th last year for them, if that's accurate on here, in an unfortunate placement. So close and so consistent across this map pool. They were 40th on hidden and double time, and under on 37th for Hard Rock, making that cutoff. But that Nomad performance at 45th overall, with that 51st on the Nomad 1, again, just barely squeaking them into that 41st spot, and they will unfortunately miss the group stage this year.
Yeah, I feel like Karjai deserves a huge shout out for this Belarus team. Placed 44th overall individually, and just had a really good showing with played every single map and a 550k average score, but just barely wasn't enough.
Yeah, seed 32 last year and dropping down a bit more. I think lost a couple of good players. And of course, as Eiflin mentioned, Karj trying to pull them back, but just not going to be enough, especially some of those Nomad maps as well as the hidden one dragging down the scores.
I just want to say that all the chat spam right now, all the jubilation from all the teams that just realized they made it, makes this whole change worth it.
So Miles is very correct. Congratulations to every other team that played in qualifiers this year. You have officially made it into the OS World Cup 2025. Commiserations to all of our eliminated teams. It is always fantastic to see how many countries put so much effort into putting teams together for this tournament every single year, and it's amazing that we have had the opportunity to have had 65 teams put together rosters going into the qualifiers weekend this year. So major round of applause for everyone who has made it through to either group stage or a bye to the bracket stage, and we very much hope to see all of these teams that did not make it in come back even stronger next year so that they can once again fight for a spot on one of those broadcasts and to play some of these later pools. But with that being covered, I think it's time to officially move into our contender teams, the team that just barely squeaked by that 40th seeded spot. This one might surprise some people if you've watched the World Cup for a long time. In 40th seed this year, it is none other than Hong Kong, our 10th seed from OWC 2025, squeaking into the group stage this time around with some major roster switches, some pretty big standout performances from this roster from a couple different players, and a very strong hidden this time around. But I think there's going to be some serious question marks as to how Hong Kong is going to do in this group stage this year with this change in qualifiers performance.
Yeah, it's an even bigger change than what you see here. Hong Kong was actually 8th last year in qualifiers. They made top 8 out of qualifiers last year. That is a 32 seed difference. I think probably the single biggest swing, unfortunately for Hong Kong, of any team. Yeah, look, no Suwagi, no MCY4, sure, but that is a huge swing. And I think a lot of people were expecting this team to still do much better than seed 40 in qualifiers. And I think they're going to be a major threat in the group stage as well for all of the other unfortunate contender teams to match up against them.
Yeah, I do feel like this is the first massive shock of the qualifier seeding. Hong Kong, I think almost everybody had way higher in the seeding, and I'm not sure what happened to them in qualifiers, but I do expect they are going to be absolute menaces in that kind of range of 32 to 40 seed. I still don't think they're really a 40 seed team, so I think they are going to place a fair bit higher than their seed, but they are going to need to pick it up a little bit into the group stage.
Yeah, and that group stage, that map pool is going to be a lot easier than the qualifiers pool, around 6.7 stars, the range where most players in this tournament are going to be able to play it. So for Hong Kong, you can never write them out of a group stage context. They were the undertakers of group stage back when it still existed, so they can bring that back. I don't think too many people would be surprised.
Well, strong team starting us off for this 40. I did see a couple people typing it on stream, so I just want to clarify, with the group stage this year, any team from 40th to 32 this year has made it into the group stage. We added 8 teams this year, so please don't freak out if you see your country in 40th through 33. They have made it into the group stage, just to clarify. Moving on to our 39th seed, just above Hong Kong here, is going to be Peru from 30th last year. Another team with some roster switches moving through and a very strong hidden performance. Once again, top 30 overall for them.
Yep. I mean, Arnold was 18th individual in performance. Nothing more to be said.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was definitely one of the people who thought that they might have had a tougher time qualifying this year. And indeed they did, right? They went down 9 places, but they still did make it in with the expanded group stage this year. Big shout outs to Sape as well, played 22 out of 22 maps for Peru. And of course to Pra and McGee, the other 2 returning players forming that core 4-player roster for Peru and helping them just squeak in to the group stage this year.
Looks like Peru, strong stuff from them this year. Big addition. All these teams that you're seeing right now as well would not have qualified under the old format. So these are all additional teams that are going to make it through in this format that would not have previously, which I think is very cool. And I'm just going to note 18 more times before the stream is over here today. Moving on to number 38. They've been waiting for this for such a long time. Belgium has finally made it through into a play-in stage of the OSU World Cup. They've done it. And once again, these teams from 40 onwards really strong in the hidden category. 31 for hidden here, and big performances from some players on this roster this time.
I am so happy for Belgium. I've been friends with Belgian players for a while. They've been getting screwed by being after seed 32 for so many years now, finally making it back to the playable stages of the tournament. That number 18th on Nomad 3, a really strong performance from them, and getting in, I'm just so happy for them.
Yeah, I think every single person I've talked to about predictions this year desperately wanted Belgium to make it into the group stage, so this is pretty huge for them.
And Belgium, strong stuff. I did actually forget to note, and I know I said I wouldn't pause here, but 18th overall on Nomad 3. That is worthy of pausing on. That is extremely impressive for a team down at a 38th seeded overall. So well done, Belgium, and congratulations for making it into the group stage. Next up, 37th seed is going to be Denmark, improving on last year's placement, going to make it in through the groups here. And just look at that Nomad performance overall from this team. They have such a broad range of skill sets in order to be able to do that.
It's definitely going to help them in the group stage. Sobu played really well for Denmark. I think really carried this seeding a lot, and we'll see if they can continue to perform on those Nomads. I think that variety is going to help them.
Shout out to the 4th player on this team roster. Are we allowed to say that name on stream? That is
yes.
one hell of a name change, Catburger. That is one hell of a name change.
Who's going to be the first one to say it? Is there a standout performance, or we avoid it?
Auto Fister.
Congratulations, Auto Fister, for
Great
qualifying for group stage.
Good job.
W. Auto Fister. Moving on to number 36 seed, just above Portugal. Sliding from 45th last year, would not have made it into the group stages if this was last year, and a big improvement in performance. Number 20th overall on Niwashi King, which was easily our lowest scoring double time map. As you can see, a 2 million team score leading to that 20th overall, so very difficult and very well done.
They did it for Maki. What more can be said?
Yeah, I mean, +9 for Portugal from last year. WhatsApp and Rafamat really putting in a lot of work here to get them into the group stages. Both those players playing every single map for Portugal this year and doing a damn good job of it by the looks of things. So very well played to Portugal.
Well done to them. Moving on, number 35th seed, just barely above them in percent max, is Greece. Once again, another team that would not have made it into the group stages last year are now moving in confidently, this time in 35th seed. And look at this overall performance. This has got to be one of the most consistent teams we've seen thus far, with almost the exact same placement on every mod pool.
Yeah, just don't look at HR2. It seems that was a little bit tragic.
Never.
But no, 10 seed improvement is really nice for Greece. I feel like Jackpacks just keeps getting better and better every single year, and it is doing a lot for Greece. But even outside of that, their kind of core 3 had some good scores all around.
I want to give an extra special shout out to this team. Last year, they played qualifiers. In 2023, they didn't play. In 2022, it was qualifiers. 2021, all the way back to 2017, they did not play. 2016 and 15, they just played group stage, and before that, they did not play at all. So this is the first time that Greece has made it to the second stage of the OS World Cup. So a massive congratulations to Greece with this performance.
Very big congratulations, and another congratulations moving on to our 34th seed, another team in this group stage, just barely different from last year, Uruguay. They do it once again every single year. They keep coming back with improved players and improved scores and just hold on to this placement. And look at that DT, 27th overall, number 20th on Nomad 2 and DT1 with a 3 million team score on that DT1. Impressive stuff from Uruguay.
And number 20 overall on the Nomad 2 as well. Definitely a formidable team on some of those tapping maps. Uruguay as well. This is only their second time making it into a non-qualifier stage of the OS World Cup after playing group stage twice in OWC number 2 and 3 before they were labeled by year. So this is the second time we'll see Uruguay in really a main stage of the tournament. So congrats to Uruguay.
Mm-hmm. Always a really strong tapping team, fueled by Plox, who is a top 20 player. I think this is the highest ranked player we've seen so far, rank 18. And bringing back Dynet as well, really strong tapping player to fuel just that high rating on the Nomad 2 and the DT1, which pushed them to their qualification.
And number 33rd, our last team with a percent max of the 5 ranges is going to be Malaysia, 29th last year, maintaining pretty close on. And just look at that double time 1. If you thought about picking any DT into Malaysia, think twice and then think a third time.
Yeah, that's our first single-digit score of the 2025 qualifier showcase. And this Malaysia team is actually quite balanced, a fair bit of depth. They had 6 different players that played over 13 maps in the qualifiers. So it's not just, one big carry for them, but it's actually fairly spread out. And a really solid Nomad 4 as well, getting 16th overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always a really well-rounded team. Unfortunately, missing Wuhua this year, but it looks like nobody else really missed a beat, and they all look pretty good. And I'm really excited to see them in the group stage.
So that's the last of our 5.0% max sum teams. That it's a 5.988 for Malaysia. And also, by the way, our first team with a 2 million average score through qualifiers. That's who started us off here. Now, moving on to our 32nd seed, a team that would have qualified in the old format, moving into groups this time around, is Vietnam, improving from 36th overall last year. And my eyes are on one player on this roster, and it is that one down at the bottom there, Def. Number 1 player for Vietnam on every single map in their qualifier except one, I believe. And just look at the team backing for Def this time around too. 17th overall on Nomad 4 and 19th overall on Hard Rock 2 Deer Tracks. Again, one of the hardest maps through this pool. 21st overall on Hard Rock. This is a Vietnam roster looking to turn some heads this year.
Yeah, Def, the only player that we've seen so far on any team who did better than Def in the qualifiers was Arnold for Team Peru. Just to give you a sense of the level that this guy played at during the qualifiers, played 22 maps and averaged 600k across all of them, which, as you said, Chillier, is really, really strong for this team and just gives you such a sense of security as this roster. You know you have somebody who is going to perform well on pretty much every map for your team, and going into a group stage, I think that's a massive asset to have.
Yeah, only 10k less average score than Arnold across the qualifiers, so not far off at all, and had good enough support to reach that 32nd seed.
Moving on to 31, just barely inching ahead of Vietnam in percent max. It is Singapore with the exact same placement as last year. Talk about consistency from this roster. Some staple names once again returning. GS Blank, the eternal figure in the OSA World Cup, will never leave. And a lot of great backing for them this time around. 22nd on Hard Rock, another very strong Hard Rock team. And 18th overall on Nomad 1, which was a very, very high scoring map. Hard to get that high on the listings.
Yeah, Singapore is always a very fun roster, tend to be very strong mechanically, and they are another team that tends to be very spread out in terms of skill sets. I think the least amount of maps any player played was 6, and they all contributed pretty similar amounts across the board.
Yeah, consistency is key for the Singapore roster. You see so many returning players from previous years. You see their highest score being on a map like the Nomad one. You see relatively stable placements across the board. They're just a very good team, I think, especially for this group stage format.
Good stuff from Singapore. Moving on to our 30th seeded, just above them is Argentina. 25th overall last year, a little bit of a drop for them this time around, but still making it through. And they are as strong as ever. 14th on the reading map in Wayward Romance. 18th overall, that DT2 with Jade Star and some good stuff. 20th on that hidden pool.
Yeah, very, very solidly done for Argentina. Their biggest performer, also their highest ranked player this time around, Jack Zebra, formerly known as PP Poo Poo 97. God bless the name change there. That's one I can get behind. But this is a team that has a lot of people who are very strong on kind of a wide variety of stuff, but definitely a team to look out for on the hidden and on some of the speed tapping as well with that DT2 score.
Good stuff from Argentina. Going to continue moving through. 29th seed this time around. Again, barely above Argentina. Very close. Ukraine from 16th last year, 29. That's their placement for last year, by the way, for everyone that's looking at these. I think this is the placement in the final placements, not just in qualifiers. Unsure, but we're just checking. Ukraine.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I believe that's how we're doing this. So for the confusion here, unbelievable from Ukraine. 3 maps in the top 20, with 2 of them being in that Nomad pool, and number 16th overall on Niwashi King. Again, a really, really difficult TT map.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to have those maps in the top 20, but I think a lot of people, myself included, expect Ukraine to place a lot higher this year, especially with the return of Dench. Felt like Ukraine could have had potential to, be right on the border of top 16, but definitely not getting there, at least in the qualifiers. They do feel like another one of those underseeded teams, especially with the past 2 years now, Ukraine has upset a fairly higher seeded team pretty much every single year. They've never been a qualifier team, so it's not necessarily unexpected, but I do think their final placement will be a decent bit higher.
Yeah, always a team to kind of play that David against Goliath role. You see this team going up against teams that would be seen as better in tiebreaker a lot of the time. And, this year, despite losing a few players, minus Raf GPO and Sherry Tori, Dench coming back is going to be massive for them, and I really look forward to seeing them play.
Well done, Ukraine. Number 28 seed up next is going to be Japan from 21st last year. Still making it through, and I am seeing some very good scores across the board here, as well as a 15th on DT. And the days of Japan's speed have returned to us. That is a very impressive placement for a team outside of the top 16.
Yeah, I think you look at these qualifier results and you just fear the mechanics for this team. Nomad 1, Nomad 2, DT1, DT2 are all of their best scoring maps. You have to remember the Hidden one, the Hard Rock one were not pure mechanics maps in this pool by a long shot. Hidden one kind of the closest thing to it, but it's still very much a hybrid map. And so on all of the maps that you could really call straightforward mechanics in this pool, Japan doing very, very well. So they have a very clear strength and also some very clear weaknesses, which can make for some fun matches in the group stage, some very back and forth matches.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to see the just the difference in their DT placements. 8th on the DT1, 38th on the DT3. Clearly very good speed and DT aim team, but those DT alt maps are not going so well for them.
Yeah, despite losing a lot of their players from the previous year, getting a lot of new guys and having them be really good at this one thing, it's going to give them an identity to pick around, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do in the groups.
Expecting big stuff from YMD this year, who had top 20 placements on 2 different maps, Hard Rock 2 and Nomad 1, so they are definitely going to be a big player for Japan this year alongside their staple roster. Moving into the 27th seed now is going to be Kazakhstan, moving up a placement from their final one last year in the seedings. 14th on the Nomad 1, 19th Nomad 3, 16th Hidden 1, and 19th DT1. That is a lot of maps within that top 20, and another team that is very good across the board. A very, very difficult time on the Hard Rock pool comparatively, but there is so much that this team is going to be able to pick up the slack on.
We've got our first top 15 player. Kamenchik placed 14th overall individually, and it's so nice to have that high skull cap player, especially if you want to have a chance in those later rounds. But it is not just Kamenchik on this team. They do have other strong players, notably Turnifus and Shiumi, I think, are really good support as well.
Yeah, and I will say Kazakhstan actually matching their exact placement in qualifiers last year. They were 27th last year as well. And wouldn't you know it, lost to Ukraine in losers round 1. I think this is a team that, much like Ukraine, is a little bit better than their qualifier seeding gives away, thrives on some of the lower star rating pools, and can maybe see them have a solid time here with this group stage.
Well done, Kazakhstan. Moving on to 26th seed is going to be Taiwan. 26th here, and we've been talking about a lot of teams that have struggled on this Hard Rock pool because it was a little bit more difficult this year. Well, Taiwan disagrees. 17th and 16th on the Hard Rock 1 and Hard Rock 2, 19th on Nuashi King. So this is a team that is extremely good at those control maps this year. Despite having a couple of players that decided to not come out for the roster this year, they are looking very, very good. My eyes on Ethan2222, who is one of their up-and-coming players this year.
My eye is also on Willie, who year after year continues to impress and plays very, very well. But also on Gaohao, a player who is rank 6K, plays a lot of rank restricted tournaments in the 5K range, was their second best performer in qualifiers, number 80 overall by performance score. If you don't know Gaohao's name, now's the time to learn it. Taiwan, I think, a team that is going to have a very, very good time in this group stage on a very familiar star rating for some of their best players.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it doesn't show in the qualifier results, obviously, but I think Taiwan tends to be a team that performs well on the free mod, so that should give them a few more picks to choose from once we get to the group stage.
Yeah, and the return of my Hard Rock GOAT Riser coming back after a few years of hiatus, that could probably fuel their upcoming Hard Rock scores.
Well done to Taiwan. Before we jump into our next seed, I would like to let everyone here know that the 25th seed up next is our last team in the contenders groups, which means that any team that you have seen from 40th seed all the way through our next team, 25th seed, is playing against each other in the group stage in the contenders groups. There's 4 of them, and they will be selected at random following this qualifiers seed reveal here today. Any team above that 25th seed from 24th all the way up to 9th will be playing in a separate grouping against those other teams here, just to make sure everyone is familiar with how this is working. Without further ado, our final time for the contenders grouping is going to be Turkey. Moving with, again, some strong maps in a couple different pools here. Most notably, however, that double time pool. Very strong at DT in specific. Their mechanics a little bit lower on that side for the Nomad 1 and 2, but this is a great speed team as usual.
Yeah,
and it's always been that. Oops, sorry. It's always been that DT for them. This team, they've had a really set identity since they've really burst onto the OWC scene a few years back with their best players, Raikaho and Orke, joined by a bunch of other strong players. They really don't like hidden, but those hidden scores aren't necessarily that bad.
Yeah, Raikaho was 8th individually, first at top 10 player, but another team that is really good about using every single player on their roster and getting the most out of them. I think it's outside of Raikaho, who played pretty much everything except for 2 maps. Pretty much everybody contributed very evenly in qualifiers.
I want to also mention last year we saw Turkey actually win their round of 32 matchup as seed number 19. So this is a team that has fight in them, knows how to pull off tougher matches. So in this group stage where they are quite literally the top seeded team among all of the groups, among all of the teams that they could potentially pull for their own group, I think that they should have a very good time in this group stage, and they should be confident going into a lot of those matches, and confident as well going into that losers bracket round 1 match after the group stages are over.
Well done to Turkey. Now to kick off in 24th seed, the start of our challengers groups going to be the Netherlands, seed 24, and a big resurgence from this country this year. There was a lot of speculation on how much they would potentially improve going into this year. And well, take a look at this. That Hard Rock performance, 15th overall, 24th and 23rd on Nomad and Double Time, respectively. And their number 1 performer, 56th overall in qualifiers, is going to be John Eithkin. Right there, second on that listing. Well done to the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think worth shouting out Windtails as well, who is not far behind John Eithkin in the individual rankings. Another very strong Hard Rock team. And I think the Hard Rock tends to be a skill set that I think for a lot of teams isn't focused on as much. So for the teams that are very strong in the Hard Rocks, you can get some points off some higher seeded teams potentially.
Also, shout out to the best username collab I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, Dolter good with the program, though. I mean, what's going on there, man? We got Windtails, we got Ethcam, we got Burning Star, we got Perth again, we got Blue Zenith, we got Gengauzo Foom, we got Breathe, and then we just have Dolter. Let's get with the program, man.
Yeah, let's crowdfund a name change for Dolter.
Or crowdfund a Dolter map.
Crowdfund John Dolter. Like, that's just what we need. Well done to the Netherlands. Our 24th seed now passed. Just up next in 23rd for this group is going to be Italy. Moving back into form this year. Little bit of swaps into this roster. Arg and Kirochi back into the roster this time around. And just look at what a difference it made in this placement through for them. 5th overall on Nomad 4. That is unbelievable. On this pool, that was easily one of the hardest maps overall in qualifiers. Amazing stuff from Italy.
Yeah, Arj Kirochi are back, and it shows. They were number 55 and 69, respectively, in the qualifiers. For those not keeping up with nicknames, Arj is Tokaiteo, and Kirochi is Kusuriya. And of course, this roster, Italy has a thing with playing with fewer players than they actually have. They only played with 7 players in qualifiers as well, with their 7th player only playing 1 map in the qualifiers. So this is a team that realistically could have played qualifiers with 6 people and still gotten this placement, which is very, very impressive, especially considering the fact they didn't qualify at all last year.
Yeah, Italy's a very interesting team. They're very, very strong in some skill sets and quite weak in others, obviously notably that hidden. But in terms of their strengths, I mean, they're so good on really anything tech, anything aim. They can beat a lot of higher seeded teams on.
Yeah, and I mean, Kirochi beat Emrek and Ram AI. What more is there to say?
Let's go. Let's go, Italy. Well done to our 23rd seed. It's over for me now. 22nd seed up next is going to be Finland, 18th in their final placement last year, so pretty close in this qualifiers placing. Their number 1 player, of course, coming in, Amacetic, a staple figure for them in the scene here, and some great team scores across the board. Look at that hidden and DT ability across the board for this team. That is terrifying.
Man, Finland swapped out 5 players, and they went from seed 23 out of quals last year to seed 22 in quals this year. Like, this team is just permanently right there around seed 20 every single year. They're so consistently solid for the kind of top 24 teams in the tournament. I really expect them to pull out something similar again this year, but I know all the Finns in chat are hoping for maybe a top 6 team this year. We'll see if they can unlock that, because they definitely have some potential. You look at some of the mechanics and some of the hidden players on this team, and they definitely do have the potential to pull out a cheeky upset win.
Yeah, certainly could if they get a good bracket, especially. I think to your point, Dio, it's another team that really utilizes all their players really well. They don't have any players that are playing 2 maps in a pool, and I imagine that is a big part of how, even after changing out 5 players, they can be just as good.
Yeah, Hidden being their top performing mod pool is a bit surprising, because in years past they'd be much more in favor of playing the hard rock and the mechanics, but having Hidden be the strongest mod pool, maybe we'll see them pick into that this year.
We shall see for Finland through that group stage as they play through challengers. Next team, one of their potential opponents, 21st seed overall, Thailand up next. And look at the single-digit placing maps here. 8th on Nomad 1, 7th on Hidden 1. If this isn't an AIM team, then I don't know what is. That is so impressive.
Yeah, honestly, they could have seeded a lot higher very easily. Just had a pretty unfortunate go of those DT maps, but clearly those Hidden and the AIM maps are going to be absolutely terrifying for them. They have a couple very strong players in Lesberry and Minor as well. Even Chess is a very strong Hidden player for them.
Yeah, I want to shout out Minor, who had some really, really strong performances. Basically full carried Thailand on the Hidden 2, was 911k on their run that counted and 979k on their run that didn't count. So actually had a slightly lower score on the run that counted, and also had a very, very good run on the Hidden 1 for their number 7 run there. So that Hidden pool really is a lot off the back of Minor being a very, very strong player for this Thai roster. So someone to pay attention to outside of the usual suspects this year.
Yeah, and those usual suspects are Lesberry up at the top there, was one of, honestly, the strongest, almost tourney players as a whole in previous years. Not as active this year, but if he can bring back some of that energy here, Thailand is going to be a really scary team.
Well done to Thailand. Moving up into our 20th seed now is going to be Spain. 32nd overall placing, getting knocked out in that first round. Unfortunately, not pulling out that win necessary in the bracket stage, but they did qualify, and they are once again back in, moving to the Challengers group this time around. And number 4th overall on Nomad 2. That was one of the highest scoring maps in the pool. So to be top 5 on that map is an unbelievable achievement, and they should be very, very happy with their performance there.
Yeah, I'll have to admit, I was really not high on Spain this year. I thought that they would have kind of a tougher time qualifying with some of the players that left. No Antonio this year, no Creator this year. A couple of other mainstays like Bairechu and Omogui also gone, but Spain really had a solid time this year. And some of these players that I was just unaware of had a very solid couple of maps as well. Decore, Townie, Paladex, all having more than a few maps played in this pool. But the main two to look out for are, as expected, Escrupulio and Aleph, who both played 20 maps total each, 10 each in their runs that counted, and we're both averaging above 500k on this pool. I mean, those two are definitely the backbone of this team, but the entire roster deserves some credit. And definitely, I think, at least shutting me up, but definitely probably some other people as well who may have been unaware of some of the lurking talent that Spain has.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Definitely underestimated this team, but seems to be a team all about incremental improvements. They've improved their seed placing by 1 or 2 spots every single year since 2020. A bigger jump from last year now, going up 6 seeds. But, 2040, Spain is coming for the OWC win.
Yeah, and shout out to Aleph getting number 6 on DT3, Nuashi King, a map that only had 3 FCs. I think he choked it. A really good run from him on that map, as well as FCing, I think, the Nomad 4. So just a great performance from him.
Well done to Spain. Keeping with the S 14th seed is going to be Sweden. 14th overall through the bracket last year, and again, another team with multiple single-digit placements and a very strong roster coming off of a pretty high 4WC this year, actually. That roster getting 3rd overall in 4-digit World Cup. They are now adding their open rank players onto that list, and I think that's going to make them very, very strong. Hard Rock won number 5 overall, and we talk about how hard that Nomad 4 is. Well, there's top 8 for Sweden there at number 7 on that one.
Yeah, Sweden actually going down a little bit in qualifiers this year, but I mean, still a very, very similar roster and still a very strong team. And I think the biggest thing for me is that as the pools get harder, there's still going to be a threat. Skilla, number 15 overall, the second player we've seen in the top 15, or third actually, alongside Raikaho and Kamenchik. So the 3rd hardest carry player that we have seen so far out of the qualifiers for this Swedish roster. So you always have somebody who can play even the hardest of maps in a pool, and that's always threatening even to some higher seeded teams.
Yeah, they have a lot of very scary mechanics players on these teams, and despite dropping a few seeds from last year, I think it's still within that same range. So regardless of who they go up against in the group stage, they definitely have a shot of beating some of the teams that are seeded slightly higher.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 4-digit tournament experience. They got 3rd on 4-digit World Cup this year. You wouldn't always expect that to be like a very big factor when you come into real World Cup, but with group stage, 6.7 stars, everyone on this roster is going to be raring to go in the group stage, and they're definitely a team that I would pencil down as one to get out of group stage in a good placement.
So well done to Sweden. I do also want to point out that we sort of glossed over it, but Scylla being at 15th overall for qualifiers performance means that Scylla is the 3rd highest performance that we've seen out of any team revealed thus far, which is very impressive considering they are at that rank 1500 there. So extreme level of skill and consistency from Scylla there. Well done to them. Moving on to our 18th seed now is going to be Indonesia, 7th overall on the reading map for Wayward Romance here. And this is a roster that is just very, very consistent with their whole grouping. This was a team effort from them, I think, to get where they are through this qualifying pool. Their number 1 player being Mindfrost ID down there, 2nd from the bottom at 46th overall through qualifiers. Very well done.
Yeah, Mindfrost played so well in these qualifiers, and if Mindfrost can keep up that level of performance for the group stage, Indonesia are definitely going to be a scary team. They have some really strong scores, that hidden 2. They are a very scary rating team, especially when you introduce some of those anti-mod free mods. We'll give them another option there, but overall, a lot of the core players for this team are going to be pretty similar to last year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a pretty similar performance.
Yeah, this team, they bring back a pretty similar group of players year after year. GNX, I think that's Dido to join Hakui Koyori, that noob guy, Lifeline, Mindfrost, come back year after year. And I believe a couple of those other players are also returning. They are very strong on aim, and you can see that through the Nomad 1, the Hidden 1 as well. Just don't look at that DT2.
Didn't happen.
No, nothing to see here.
You can ban the stamina map, it's fine.
Or I guess the speed, kind of stamina, speed finger control, regardless.
You can ban out something along those lines.
That's what we have bans for.
Exactly.
That's exactly. So well done to Indonesia. I've seen a lot of people in chat mentioning this next country. Where is this country? Where is this country? Well, here they are, number 17th overall in qualifiers, Austria, another team that had a pretty big appearance in the 3-digit World Cup this year, and now bringing that roster into form for the OS World Cup in an unbelievable qualifiers performance. 2nd overall, no mod 2. I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, but until basically like right before the reveal today, Austria was actually number 1 no mod 2. They held that basically until the end of qualifiers. So an exceptional performance from them there, as well as 11th 11th on Nomad 4, 13th Hidden 2, 9th on Hard Rock 1, and 7th on DT3.
As I'm
Austria,
starting to think this Hidden 2 was maybe a little hard. I'm looking at the performance scores for this team. Teppy Fangirl played literally one map and is their number one performer because she did very well on the Hidden 2. With 966k on the run that counted and 766k on the run that didn't count. So I'm starting to think this Hidden 2 was maybe a little bit tough for the qualifier pool.
Yeah, and those two maps were good enough for 27th overall individual, so I definitely would agree. I will say, I think having those really specific skill sets that you're incredibly strong on is a huge benefit when you're trying to get points off of higher seeded teams especially. I think, I think being the more consistent team, helpful when you're going up against lower seeds, but if you're trying to go for an upset, take a match against a higher seeded team, it's so valuable to have maps picks like that Nomad 2.
You know what I'm seeing with these results, and that I know from pooling their tournament, Austria is very good at flow aim. That Nomad 2, that Hard Rock 1, that DT3, the three most flow aim heavy maps in the pool, all extremely good scores from them. And also 13th on Hidden 2. Come on, guys. They were yelling at me and Dada for like pooling any difficult Hidden 2 in Austria tournament this year. And now this one is so hard. They get 13th. Good job.
Well done, Austria. That's 17th. We're moving into our top 16 now. Now we're in the top half of the challengers bracket as we move into the 16th seed. We're switching regions all the way over to New Zealand. And I'm just going to pause for a minute and sit and observe this Hard Rock performance from New Zealand, because pardon me, but what the hell just happened here?
Yeah, New Zealand has some very, very good Hard Rock players. That Hard Rock 1 and 2 were extremely good for them. Seikyu and Fake Seikyu, as well as Kyujin and Osbert, all having very, very good scores on that. And then the number 5 run overall on the Nomad 2, mostly off the back of Seikyu getting a 1 million score, 99.26% choke on that map, putting in a ton of work for their team on that Hard Rock 2. And this is another team that I think a lot of people, expected to qualify, expected to be better this year, but didn't expect quite this level of resurgence to top 16 from 44th last year.
Yeah, they're the overperformers of the year big time. They're kind of the inverse Hong Kong, it feels like. I believe they had the biggest year-to-year seeding increase of any team in OWC history. So that's really exciting stuff for them. And those are just such incredible Hard Rock scores. You can't say it enough. Really, it feels like a lot of their players contributed. Like they had 3 different players similarly in the top 100. You had Saiku, Kyujin, and 5 IQ, all doing really well.
Yeah, a lot of people just saw this roster and saw no Zoomer, no Qualify, but they just blew all the doubters out of the water. Proud to be a believer and look forward to see what they do in the group stage.
Great stuff from New Zealand, bringing up our top 16 teams here. Next up, 15th is France. A lot of people had some doubts about this new French roster this year. Well, all of their new players stepped up to the plate big time, and look at this performance off the board here. This has got to be the most consistent Nomad performance we have seen from any team in this tournament so far. That is almost the exact same placement on every single map in the pool, and their number 1 performance from qualifiers coming out from Flasta at number 47, very, very close behind by Hifkill, 2 of the veterans on this team who are being backed immensely by this new roster, and they are just so consistent. The only thing that hurt this team in qualifiers was that hidden pool at 21, and even then, that is still very impressive.
Yeah, I need to bring a major shout out to the 3rd player by performance score who went unmentioned, Satsuki. Brand new rookie to the World Cup, has been active in some tournaments throughout the year, but unless you're closely following stuff or you happened to host a tournament where they played and did well, you might just be unaware about a player like this who was the third core member for this France roster, and really one of their, I think, second core member, Flasta, Satsuki, and Musty playing the most maps in qualifiers for France. So having a complete rookie and somebody who came back after not playing last year be two of your three core members, I think is really good for a France team that has struggled to convert on solid qualifiers placements in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing how France does this year.
Yeah, I think some new additions for France could just be exactly what they need to kind of have a slightly better performance and maybe place closer to their city in this time of year. As you mentioned, they have had some struggles the last couple of years, but they've definitely got some good scores, very good core players, and they definitely have the potential to get up there in the standings.
Yep, seed 15 for the 15th year veteran Musty. Yeah, you heard that right. 15th OWC is incredibly impressive for him to still be playing this well. And now, as you all have mentioned, this rebuild, so many new players, it's time to get over an old curse that is France group stage. And with the new players, I'm sure they're ready to do that.
Big expectations for France this year. Let's hope they can live up to the pressure. It looks like they will be able to do that. Moving on to our 14th seed is going to be Philippines, coming in with number 3 on Nomad 1. A top 3 performance on the map is always fun to see here from these teams outside the top 8, and a very, very consistent hidden and double time pool, which is, not always two pools that you see teams doing well hand in hand on, especially with Hard Rock sitting down at 26th, but forgo the Hard Rock. Who cares if you're going to be getting top 10 on other mod pools? This is some good stuff from the Philippines this year.
Yeah, Nathan Ram, of course, played really well as expected. Nathan Ram has been so good these last couple of years, but I have to give a huge shout out to Icarus, who was honestly not that far behind, played 22 out of 22 maps, was 50th overall individually, and I think that's going to be a really nice addition for Philippines, along with, they've got some other strong returning players. Zone Luis is a big one for them.
I think one thing that is a little underrated as well, if one of your weaker mods is hidden or hard rock, you still have access to the free mods when it comes to actual map pools, right? You still have probably at least one player who's going to be somewhat comfortable on one of those, on one of your weaker mods. In this case, I'm looking more at Lord Gabriel for some hard rock play on the free mods for Philippines. So I think a placement like this is probably lower than you should expect them to do in the group stage and in the bracket stage. And I think with one specific mod like Hard Rock or Hidden being your weaker mod, you can oftentimes outperform that qualifiers placement. So this is a dangerous team for those seeded just a little bit higher.
Yeah, just to tail a bit off your last point there, Philippines just a really strong match team, even if some of these qualifiers performances might make you think otherwise, because they just find their places to beat you. So really excited to see how they do.
Well done to the Philippines. Moving on to our 13th seed as we slowly move to the close of the Challengers group is going to be Norway. Same placement they got last year, matching through their qualifiers performances and stepping up to the plate on that double time pool here. A top 10 performance for them there, even on Nomad and Hard Rock, and 13th overall on Hidden. Very consistent there, as well as, even though that Nomad pool sitting up on that Nomad 1 and 2, they certainly recovered from it with that 3 and 4. Well done to Norway.
Yeah, Norway is a team that does really well on skill set extremes. When you have players like Neneric when it comes to speed, and Yokspai and Antoni when it comes to gimmick, as well as bringing back Penguinzi as well to really bolster that mechanics roster, Norway is looking to really push into a higher placement this year. I think they're really gunning to get a signature win and push into, say, top 12 or top 8 even. And I think this is the best roster they've had in years to do that.
Yeah, they placed exactly the same last year, 12th in qualifiers, 13th overall. So this is a team that, as Miles, you said, is kind of struggling to find a break into that top 12 or higher, and looking for it this year. I feel like with some of the switches as well, specifically Penguinzy coming in for some of those speed maps, giving Neneric an extra player on some of those speedier picks. Norway hoping to have a better time this year, and it definitely looks like they did, especially on the DT1 and 2, and even on the DT3. 2.2 million doesn't seem like a lot, but it is number 14 overall on that map.
Yeah, Norway, always one of my favorite teams to watch with these skill set extremes, and we'll see if they can make it into that top 12 this time around. Would be huge for them, but they've just got a really solid roster all around. Melver is on form, which is going to be really big for them, and they've definitely got a shot at getting into the semis.
Good job to Norway. As we move on to our 12th seed, we move into our top 4 teams in the Challengers group. This is going to be number 12. Up next, Romania. And some additions coming back to the roster this year, making them improve this placement from the final last year. And look at that Newashi King play 3rd overall. This is an old-style DT team if I've ever seen it, as well as that Nomad 3. So maybe just an alt team overall. Maybe we just ban all of alt into Romania, which is a pretty valid strategy with the top end of this roster being as strong as it is, and Badoo coming back this year to 19th overall in qualifiers, followed by Origin, who is also 38th, so a very strong duo in those two.
Yeah, I feel like
same 4 players for Badoo, or sorry, not for Badoo, basically Badoo, for Romania, played 16 of the 22 maps that they played in qualifiers. So this is a team that really, really heavily relies on their core 4 being in form. And honestly, if you can have a consistent core 4 like that, week to week, match to match, it's a very, very good strategy. And you see it on a lot of these picks, especially that DT3, where you have a core that's all really good at a lot of the same stuff and can play most of the map pool.
Yeah, I feel like Origin has improved so much for this team too, even compared to last year's OWC, especially with Badoo back now. This team is going to be nearly unmatched on some of these aim control and alt picks, as is apparent with the DT3. And I think overall, Cass is a nice addition too. Obviously, they are very reliant on that top 4, which can make things a little pool dependent, but so far, the top 4 has been on point.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see Badoo back. I know he took at least a year or 2 off, and having him back, just one of the strongest aim control reading players of all time, in a year where a lot of people predict the pooling team to really go more into gimmick in the map pools, I think is going to do a lot for Romania, and Badoo is going to have a lot of maps that teams are going to be thinking again, are we going to ban this map just because of Badoo?
All too possible for Romania this year. And in extremely close fashion, our next team by 1,000% max sum in our 11th seed up next is going to be Brazil. With a strong across-the-board performance, not a single mod pool above that top 20, and again, cutting it close into this 11th seed, but just above that Romanian roster, 7th overall on Nomad, 10th on Hard Rocket, a very standout hit in 1.
I think a big thing with this Brazil roster for me is that the one player that I think a lot of people look to as kind of the perennially best player on the roster in recent times, one of the holdovers from some of the older eras of Brazilian dominance in the World Cups, Corian Maluco, is not one of the best 4 players that was in qualifiers for Brazil. Was still playing a lot of maps, did play 12 maps, 7 of those counted for their runs. But Karumi W, Izzy, Nyash, Viterskull, all of these players all playing 12 or more maps alongside Korea Maluko, all performing just as well with higher average scores across those 12 maps. And really showing, I think, that Brazil has entered a completely new era. A lot of the older players that you think of, like Mauseezy, like Mistia, like Nissan, all of those players are gone, and you now have a very new era of Brazilian players who have really come into their own with this placement.
Yeah, Brazil has so many exciting additions this year. It's kind of a breath of fresh air for them with all those new names. And you can see in that no-mod pool that they are very capable at playing a lot of different skill sets to a very high level. And that is going to pay dividends for this team.
Yeah, huge shout out, sorry, to the new talent of Brazil. After a long time coming, it's been so long since that old core was dominant, but now this Brazil team here finally looks like it's about to take that step into that upper echelon that the old Brazilian core used to reach. And if they're able to do that, they're going to be legendary.
Oh, well done to Brazil. Speaking of a shootout, our next team, once again, extremely close to Brazil's placement in that percent max sum in 10th seed is Chile. 8th place last year, and some people, again, were wondering how Chile was going to look this year with some roster switches, and, well, they are right back up exactly where you would expect them to be. 5th overall on Hidden. Strong Hard Rock, even stronger Double Time, and another team where the only thing keeping them back just a little bit is that Nomad performance, which is going to change as these pools get released.
Yeah, they did lose Matthew, which hurts a lot, but they have a lot of players that are still very strong. Alfew really stepped up for this team, getting 31st individually. Of course, Intercamping as good as ever, but feels like a very fast team as well, and they're always so good on both the speed and the rating.
Yeah, I was very sad to see some other players for Chile gone as well. No Suntan this year.
Yeah.
So this is a team that lost a few really good players. The third player that they lost escapes my mind right now, but another very, very solid player that they had lost for this year, but still managed to place really, really well off the back of, like you said, iFlame, Intercamping, and Alfew. That duo, Intercamping playing every map, Alfew playing all but one, and just powerhousing it through for this team and bringing them into the top 10. A little bit lower than last year's seed 7 out of qualifiers, but still very, very solid nonetheless.
And the hidden pool being the strongest one for them is one that surprises me a lot, because, back when Suntan was often kicking, they would be really strong on the Hard Rock and the DT, but hidden 5th place means that number 37 is still in form, and with him still playing well, they got 3rd place on the hidden 2. I think Chile is going to be a really tough team to pick against this year, even without Suntan and Matthew.
Strong stuff from Chile, even despite other changes, still looking extremely good. Now, for our final team of the Challengers group, and our final team before we move on to our top 8 Legends teams is going to be none other than China, with the same placement as last year. We talked about consistency, and it's 9s across the board here. 9th seed, 9th year last, 9th Nomad on 1, 2, and 4, as well as Deer Tracks number 7. This is just all the way consistency for China, and a roster that shows up every single year, regardless of what happens.
Couple of 9s for Z numbers as well, but yeah, this is a team that has so much depth. Of course, the LOL team is pretty much always shows up. Now, despite them actually placing at 9th, this is the highest they've seeded since, at the very least, 2019. So nice to maybe have some easier matchups, assuming they make it to the bracket, which I have no doubt they will. But I think there's been a lot of excitement too around Lido Fox as well, who has improved so much since we last saw them in OWC.
Yeah, Lido Fox is going to do a ton for this team. I mean, a lot of people see China as their strong core with the Lolols, with Crystal, with Z numbers. But one place they've long been lacking has been in that DT department. You see a lot of speed players come and go for them. But Lido Fox, being such a strong DT player for them, is going to do great things for this China team, because you put him up with Milk Tea, you bring in Moonlit and Imary, who are both also into Phil on mechanics. I think this China team has the potential to put damage even into potentially one of the top 8 teams that are to come.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for this team, because we've seen in community tournaments that Team China in group stage is very, very scary. Shout out Dadunai and Hippo Cup. This is going to be a very, very fun team to watch in the group stage, and I think with how much they thrive in group stage and with somewhat lower star rating, as well as how well they can just clutch out points later on into the bracket, this is the team to be most scared of drawing in the group stage for challengers, as well as a team to be scared of drawing during the round of 16 winners bracket for any of our legends, as China historically a very, very good team at finding some of those upset wins. They were seed 13 last year and took Canada seed 6 to tiebreaker.
Unbelievable from China. And the fact that they didn't make top 8 with how they did here speaks as a testament to just how strong our top 8 teams are. Conveniently enough, before we move into our top 8 Legends teams, in order to make the top 8 this year, you needed a percent max sum of 8.516 or higher. China here was a 7.991. So in order to make the top 8 this year, you needed to have the qualifiers of a lifetime. And as we run through here, it continues to go up. These top 8 Legends teams are going to get a bye through the group stage, which means you will not be seeing these top 8 teams we announce here for 2 weeks. You're going to get 2 weeks of the challengers and contenders teams facing off, and then you're going to get to see all these 8 teams once again in the bracket stage. They're going to be a little bit of a break in between. And so, without further ado, the first of your top 8 teams in OWC 2025, kicking us off is going to be Russia. 5th overall last year, 8th seed through quals, 7th and 5th on Hard Rock and DT, as this country continues to staple themselves into a mechanics powerhouse. 10th on Nomad, 10th on Hidden, and even then there are single-digit placements in both of those mod pools.
I mean, I think it's funny, we think of Russia as this mechanics powerhouse, but that number 8 on DT3 is on some old map style gimmick flow aim. The gatekeeper to the top 8, nearly 200,000 average score, better than China. Does that even with a couple of rough runs on the Nomad 1 and the Nomad 4. That Hidden one in top 12, also below the top 10. Everything else single digits though, man. The consistency across basically every single map in the pool is what it takes to get into the top 8, and what you should expect from every single one of these teams going forward is an extremely well-rounded roster with extremely high scores on basically everything. Very quick shout out to Welter, who played 20 of 22 maps for this team and averaged 700k while doing so. Just a massive performance for him, alongside some of the other players on this team as well. But Welter, the top performer for them in qualifiers, and not really surprising if you've been paying attention to community tournaments the last few years.
Yeah, Russia is always such a fun team to watch, especially as we get into the later stages of the tournament. When you reach those finals pools and the mechanics start to get really difficult, Russia is a team that, even if they seed slightly lower, they absolutely have the mechanics and the skill cap to take out, any of the other teams in that 5 to 8 range. And I think they're going to look to do the same this year. They have a very similar roster to last year as well, but that roster did really well for them. Of course, they finished 5th place, I believe, just losing to Germany in the finals.
Yeah, unfortunately, after a long time, this is the departure of one of their longtime carries, Ciccone. But despite him not playing this year, I think this Russian team is still going to be very strong, and they're going to be looking to pack a punch this year and maybe get into that next level, potentially even fight for top 6 or top 4.
Yeah, I'll do a quick correction. They did lose to Australia last year, but it was top 6, and it was Russia's first top 6 last year in 2024. The last time they did that was 2019. So this is a team looking to keep those shoes filled this year.
Amazing stuff from Russia in the 8th seed, as usual. See how they do in that bracket stage when they come back in 2 weeks. Another team that we've seen come out for the World Cup year in and year out, fighting back in for a top 8 spot in number 7th overall this year, is going to be the United Kingdom. 6th in the bracket last year, number 1 performance on 2 separate maps, Nomad 1 and Hidden 2, an unbelievable Hidden roster. 6th overall on Nomad, 7th on DT, and some of the performances from players on this team were so balanced this year that the entire roster is terrifying. But a major shout out to Plasma this year, who had an almost 700k average at 23rd overall, who was their number 1 performer, followed by none other than Bubbleman, the captain himself.
I see what you did there, Chillier. You forgot to mention number 4 on Hidden, number 1 on that Hidden 2 off of a Plasma insane FC. And that's something you're going to be looking to see from the UK a lot this tournament. They really lean into the gimmick this year, adding Plasma with the rest of the roster coming in ready to fight as well. Number 1 on Nomad 1, I think that's going to be core of their pick strategy going into the tournament, picking a lot of aim and a lot of gimmick, but they still have that super strong speed roster with a Colibet and Malteser as well. So really excited to see what they bring to the table this year.
Yeah, even going back to last year, if you look at the stats, UK was always near the top on pretty much every rating map. Now they've added Plasma as well, which makes them insanely terrifying on anything to do with rating. And to the point about their consistency, they have 5 different players all in top 50 for individual performance. So many players contributed to the maps in the qualifiers, and I will say as well, seeds 7 through 5 are insanely close. I think there's a 0.1 difference in performance score, so they're right up there with the other 6 and 5 seeds.
Yeah, and I will also shout out, we talked a lot about Plasma reading, not a lot about Plasma aim, but this Nomad 1 for the UK, a very, very solid run for them with Plasma FCing, Bubbleman FCing, Rudge just a 1-miss 977k, a Colibet 825k. I mean, it's a ridiculous aim consistency roster for the UK this year. So aim in general going to be a major strong suit for them. And we saw that sort of archetype worked out very well for South Korea last year. So this is a very scary team.
And scary they continue to be. This is a country that is looking for glory after their placements in previous World Cups on the podium, and they are looking to fight back for a spot on it this year. But they've got competition up ahead with our top 6 teams moving on to our 6th seed overall. Your winners from last year, it's going to be Team South Korea in 6th seed with a very strong performance. A lot of people were wondering what was going to happen with this roster this year, losing some of their staple performers. They still pull top 6 this year, but a drop down below a couple other teams. Still single-digit placements, almost top 8 on every single mod pool. So don't you for a second think that South Korea is not still a very, very strong team this year.
Yeah, I think South Korea has taken one of the biggest hits in terms of roster of any team this World Cup. They lost, I believe it was Worst HR player, Hyok, and Fragrance of Page. Their 3 best performers in the grand finals and finals of last year's World Cup. But don't be mistaken, this is still an insanely good team. They have so many good players. Flying Tuna was the 5th overall individually. Amamiya Kokoro right behind at 6th place. And I mean, so many of these players are staples of the South Korean roster. You have some exciting new additions in Suyong, Chipori, as well as My Keyboard. Makes this team really strong. Of course, they're going to be really strong as always on a lot of these more aim control focused picks. You look at that Nomad 3 and that DT 3, they're always so dominant on these alt style maps.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to a couple of players who were on the team last year, but as they were surrounded by fakers on all sides, didn't quite have the usual chance they have to show off as they did this year in the qualifiers. Number 5 overall individually, Flying Tuna, otherwise known as Latayak, Poland all caps. Poland all caps. That is Flying Tuna there with the name change. Please change back, sir. Thank you. You've lost aura. And Amamiya Kokoro, number 6 overall. Both of these players, I mean, they are going to be major staples for this roster and have been in the past, but have been surrounded by utter ridiculousness in the past, and so weren't able to really truly show off just how good they are. This year, these are the players to watch out for once again. And I mean, if you know anything about OWC history, if you know anything about community tournaments, you know Flying Tuna never stopped being one of those players.
SK this year looking to run it back despite losing those top 3 players, as we mentioned. But doing that means we can see a little bit of a different side of South Korea. You get to see everybody else show up who are still extremely strong. You're going to see them pick a lot of tech this year, a lot of alt, which has always been their identity, still getting number 1 on the Nomad 3, still getting number 2 on the Hidden 1. And that's just all South Korea. That's all them. I don't know what else to say.
Not much to say. It's going to continue showing up this year as they have in years past. Among roster changes, they've got a lot to prove after winning the tournament last year to run it back in this time. Following them in 5th seed, almost to our top half of the Legends teams in 5 with an 8.902 rating is Germany. Pushing back up into this spot, one of the best players in the tournament on their roster, just below those two South Korean players we just mentioned. Kriller, number 7th overall, playing 19 out of 22 maps with 9 out of 11 maps counting for score, and a team that backs him up so well. The number 1 score on Nomad 2, if you were wondering who beat out Austria earlier when we mentioned they held number 1 for the entire weekend. Well, Germany was one of the last qualifiers lobbies, and they stole that slot away, as well as stealing the hopes and dreams of many other countries on these maps. 3rd place on maps, 6th place, 9th place, 4th place, all across the board. So good at everything.
I mean, Germany is just kind of the gatekeeper to top 3 in general. They were number 4 last year. They, in previous years, were 4th in 2023, and of course had a run where they were competing for number 1 with the United States from about 2020 to 2022. The last time this team has been out of the top 4 was 2017, and out of the top 6 was 2013, back in single elimination. This is a roster that has a history of excellence and continues it this year with amazing scores across the board. The number 1 on the Nomad 2, number 4 on the DT2, number 9 on the DT1, number 6 on the Nomad 1. Germany is a mechanics team, and it shows here, and they are a team that excels at that specialization, but still can put up amazing scores on some other stuff like that hidden one, like that Floaim Hard Rock one as well.
And a major shout out to Kriller, their longtime carry, is going to look to put in the work once again this year, getting number 7th overall in player performances in the qualifiers. Going to be looking to him on a lot of their off skill sets. As Dio mentioned, they're very good at mechanics, but on everything that isn't mechanics, it's all Kriller. So a lot of teams are going to have to be picking into him when they're trying to pick outside of mechanics against Germany, and that's going to lead to some difficult picking strategies for a lot of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, Kriller makes his team so terrifying in the later stages, is such an absolute clutch player, and just puts up the big scores when it matters, and is one of those players that's capable of solo carrying some of those later stages map. But this is easily one of the best mechanical teams in the tournament. And, I mean, there's more than just Kriller. Obviously, the rest of their players are very strong as well. One of the most cracked speed rosters in the tournament.
So much good things to say about Germany, and so much that they have to prove this year, getting back up to one of those top spots through the bracket this time around. And as the 5th seed passes, we move on to our top 4 teams. Everyone is starting to whittle it down now as to who's going to get that top 3. Well, this will solidify the 3 countries there in our 4th seed overall this time around. Back to North America, it's Canada, moving up from 7th last year from the bracket stage, placing single-digit placements on almost every single map in the pool. That Nomad 2 just barely stealing that distinction away from them, but 4th, 6th, 5th, and 3rd on every mod pool.
Yeah, this
as well as number 1 on the Nomad 4. I don't know, man. Zudinator goes ahead and just plays Hollow Knight and Silksong for a month, logs on to Osu to play qualifiers, and is number 3 overall in individual performance. What would we do without her? Honestly, this team as well, the other 7 players all popping off. Xylus, Wanderio, both in the top 25 individual, and the team in general just having an incredible qualifiers, as you can see. This is a team that is very scary this year, that has a lot of new talent. 6 roster swaps for Canada this year. Xylus and Zudinator, the only 2 returning players from last year, and Yip, the only other player who has actually played in OWC before. So those 3 players at the top are the only 3 OWC veterans for Canada. 5 new players to the World Cup, and they are top 4 in qualifiers. What a run.
Yeah, it is such an exciting year for Canada. So many good new players, and those new players, Wandario coming over from Hong Kong to play for Canada this year, as well as TS Fury, are both players with incredibly high skill caps, as has been shown in the regional Canadian tournament. And I think for qualifying fourth is so impressive for this team. I think a lot of people had them a fair bit lower after losing Ryuke, but the new players stepped up big time, and it's a pretty significant gap too between Canada and the 5 to 7 teams. You know, Germany, their percent max sum was an 8.9. Canada all the way up to 9.4. So it's not like they're just squeaking by these 5 to 7 teams. They're pretty squarely the fourth best team in qualifiers, and we'll see if they can keep it up in the tournament.
Yeah, Canada, traditionally a really strong qualifiers team, and some people weren't sure if they were going to be able to repeat that with their new players, but they have been completely up to the task. And also, a funny thing to note about the team, if you look at their ranks, they've only got 2 digits and 4 digits. So just completely cutting out everyone between rank 100 and 999. Kind of interesting, but nonetheless, an extremely strong team, and they're going to be looking to push the envelope and try to get back to a top 4 or even top 3 spot potentially this year.
I do think it's funny how that correlates a lot with both their 3WC and 4WC performance with Yip, Plute, Birchman, and Wandario, those 4 players in 4-digit in order, all being major players for their 4WC roster this year.
Great stuff from Canada to push back up into this top, unfortunately, just above the top 3 now. Teams remaining. Canada also kicking us off with the first team being at a percent max sum of 9.4, jumping up from Germany's 8.9. So we are now at a 9.0% max sum. Moving on to our top 3, only these teams remain. It just amends the order of them, kicking us off for our top 3 seeds. Going in from the same as last year, it's going to be none other than Australia. The consistency reigns true. So many teams matching the placements from last year. And Australia, our 3rd place podium finishers, pulling up 3rd place qualifiers this time around. Number 1 Nomad team, number 1 Hidden team, number 2 Hard Rock, and just that DT, surprisingly enough, pushing them down for 4th overall.
Yeah, Australia was not far off that 2nd seed whatsoever. Obviously, this is the kind of team that just gets better and better as the tournament goes on. They have one of the highest skill caps of any team in the tournament. So if they can make it to grand finals, they can just do so much with this roster. Secret Box has played so well for them. Of course, MRAC getting 2nd overall individually in the tournament. I don't think 1st place is much of a surprise, but they do have some interesting roster changes as well. I would say, at least in my mind, a lot of them are side grades compared to last year's roster. Paler is a very exciting addition, but they have kept their core 3 in MREC, Secret Box, and AKNZX, so they're going to be very strong once again.
And I want to point out just kind of the difference. There's a bit of a gap between number 4 and number 5 between Canada and Germany of about 150k average score. There's about 140k actually. There's another gap of about 140k average score between Canada and Australia from the qualifiers. But from Australia up to our number 1 seeded team is less than a 100,000 average score gap between them. So the top 3 all pretty closely contested between the top 3 teams here. And that was the general sentiment going into the tournament, that the top 3 teams are all very, very good, and the order is a little bit up to the viewer interpretation. In qualifiers, it's going to be Australia in that number 3 spot, and as you said, iFlame, the core roster remains with some major improvement from one of their newer players, Paler, from last year, pulling up big time for their qualifiers run, and a couple of rookies as well. Cloppet doing fairly well there. Very fun fact about Australia, they played their qualifier run with only 7 players, not even the full 8 from their roster, no superior in qualifiers. So this is a team not even showing their full potential in the qualifiers and still getting top 3.
They're really going to be shooting for it all this year. In 2024, I'm sure we all remember that match against USA. They were so close to sending them home in third and getting to that grand final against South Korea, but just falling to them in tiebreaker in such a close match. This year, they're certainly going to be shooting for it all, and they definitely have the pieces for it. I'm not going to say now or never, because they're certainly going to have many more strong years, but now seems like a pretty good time for them.
It's as good of a time as any, and a lot of people have a lot of faith in Australia this year to finally try and make things work. But they've got 2 teams standing above them in their way from qualifiers in order to achieve that point. And I know as we reveal the second seed, it's going to inadvertently reveal the first seed. So I'm going to draw this out. I'm going to make you all wait. I'm going to build the suspense, because these last 2 teams have had the 2 highest averages in the tournament. Our second seed had a 9.957% max. The number 1 seed had a 10.102% max, with a difference in average score between these 2 teams of 40,000 points overall. Your number 2 seed for the OS World Cup 2025 qualifying stage, matching their placement from last year, is none other than the United States of America. Number 3 on Nomad, Hidden. Number 1 DT. What a speed roster on every single map. And number 6 overall on Hard Rock, their only falling metric for this roster as they take our number 2 seed.
The USA it's a team with some ridiculous history. I mean, it goes without saying they were first in the World Cup 8 of the last 10 years in OWC history, only falling in 2017 to Poland and to South Korea last year. This is a team that, now that the streak is broken, may have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, have a very, very good team environment this year, have still an incredibly talented roster, and I think are, in many people's minds, the main contender to win it all. Of course, not number 1 in qualifiers. That didn't stop them in 2023. So we'll see just how well it goes for them. Notably, nobody in the top 5 individual performance for the United States. It is truly a team effort in their case, with 5 players in the top 25 individual performances for the USA. 5 in the top 25 is just ridiculous. Goes to show how overall balanced and overall skilled this roster truly is.
Yeah, and that's going to be really a different look for USA this year, because a lot of people remember in the most dominant years in the USA, they have a well-rounded team, of course, but they also have some of the best super carries, people who are going to be performing top 1 or top 2, top 5 at least in just about every week. But this year, it matters so much about the team performance. Everyone there is there with a purpose, and everyone there is going to be playing many maps. One player in particular who's been added to the team this year is Ethan Trix V3, who is going to be doing so much work on some of the gimmickier maps that they were losing to, say, South Korea, as well as on the Hidden in general, going to be taking it on the free mods. And he's just putting I feel like he's injecting adrenaline into their veins. They're going to be really good at a lot of different maps this year.
Yeah, as always, the depth on this roster is just completely unmatched. The United States always have so many strong players, and all of them can play pretty much just about anything. Although this year, they seem to be just absolutely popping off on anything DT. I think the addition of Caleb certainly helps with that. I think it's worth remembering, too, most people would agree that last year's South Korean roster was one of the most stacked rosters we've ever seen. And the United States took 5 points off that team in the first match of Grand Finals, 4 points off them in the second match, and it's a very similar team. They've made 2 changes with Caleb and Handtrix, and so this team is still absolutely terrifying, and I think, as Dio said, a lot of people's favorites to take this one. They're going to be practicing so hard after getting second last year.
Well done to the United States, and that brings us to our number 1 seed. We can just show it off here because everyone knows who it is. It is Poland. Back to form. They haven't won the OSU World Cup in 8 years now. It has been since Poland has gotten first place. Has it been more? Am I doing my math wrong?
2017. It was
2017, yeah.
8 years later.
since Poland has won the OSA World Cup. Well, if there was ever a year it was going to happen with this roster, standout performances, we need to mention the player who has returned to this roster, as well as one who is coming up as potentially the second coming of this player, your number one player in all of qualifiers with a performance score of 2.591 is Malashevsky. 20 out of 22 maps played, 10 out of 11 scores counting, and an 828,000 average score with 99.18% accuracy. And I cannot stop without also mentioning Milos. 2.143 performance score, playing 22 out of 22 maps with 11 out of 11 scores counting, a 700,000 score average and 99% AC. Your first and fourth performances overall. If there was ever a duo to stick it to every team in this tournament, it is going to be these two.
That is ridiculous how good Milos is this year, especially. Poland, the only team with 2 players in the top 5 overall individual. Nahus is back this year as well. Another player who has performed so well for Poland in previous years when they've played, has such a high skill cap. And Poland feels like they definitely have their core 4, but definitely have some really good depth this year. And it feels like this team, not only can they play absolutely everything, but between Malashevsky, Nahus, and Milos, they have insane consistency as well.
And the addition of Evil Grape, whose former name is Sherry Tori, also known as HP DeskJet last year, coming over from Team Ukraine, flag changing to Poland, going to be a great addition for them on hidden maps as well as some DT maps on old style stuff. Going to be really strong there. And this Polish roster, just as you said, they can play everything. They can play it great. And they're just gunning for it all this year. This is the best team we've seen for them since 2017. And a lot of people are penciling them down as the favorite this year to win.
I want to give a shout out as well to a kind of interesting stat. Since qualifiers has been a thing, Poland has never gotten seed 1 in qualifiers. This is the first time that they have achieved seed 1 in qualifiers in World Cup history. And this is also the first time since 2017 that they are, I think, a true favorite to win. We saw them get 4th in 2022, but that's the closest they've come since. So, and during that year, of course, they were also number 2 in qualifiers. So very, very high expectations for Poland this year, but I think warranted given just how good this roster is now. One other thing to talk about before we move on is that I think a lot of people were expecting Malashevsky and Milos to be very good. I think a lot of people were expecting Nahus to be very good. But fewer people were expecting Koszarek to be their number 3 overall performer, a player who has really been up and coming through community tournaments for a while now, and has finally found a place among some of the best players on Team Poland in this qualifier run.
So many expectations, so many things that could happen this year, and a top 3 to turn heads. This is going to be the closest OWC we have ever had, and it all starts with group stages next weekend and the weekend after before we see these top 8 teams. Speaking of group stages, we have a drawing to get to. We're going to cut off the qualifiers reveal, and we're going to continue immediately on into the qualifiers group draws. Do not go anywhere. We're going to transition rapid fire here. Congratulations to all of our 9th to 40th seed teams for making it to the group stage. Major congratulations to our top 8 seeded teams for getting a bye into the next round. And again, thank you to all of our 41st through 65th seeded teams for coming out for qualifiers this year. We always appreciate everyone that makes this tournament go round every single year. Without further ado, I am going to pass it over, and ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the group stage draws.
Thank you, Chillier. And as Chillier exits, another man enters stage left. Dada, welcome in for the group stage draws, joining myself, iFlame, and Miles here.
Hey, excited to be here. Let's get some group stage going. Let's see who's really going to get into those bracket stages. By the way, just a quick shout out, like everybody that, qualified if you talked about, oh, seed number 1 is going to be Poland and the last seed is going to be Hong Kong, how many seeds do you think there are? Nobody would guess 40, but like, it's just an insane qualifier. Just very happy for the teams that did make it in, that we're going to be starting with, looking for the contender groups. So I'm very excited for that, and I hope everybody in this call is as well.
Yeah, I'm certainly very excited. Before we get into the group draw, a very quick explanation of how both the group stage and the group draw will work. You may have heard Chilier mentioned before he exited the call that the top 8 seeds get a bye. They do not have to play group stage. They move straight to the winner's bracket round of 16. From there, seeds 9 through 24 in qualifiers, your challengers, and seeds 25 through 40 in qualifiers, your contenders, are drawn into groups separately. So seeds 25 through 40 can only be drawn into groups with each other, and seeds 9 through 24 can only be drawn into groups with each other. We will have 4 groups of 4 for both the contenders and challengers. If you are a challenger team, the top 2 from each group move into the winner's bracket round 16. The bottom 2 from each group move into the loser's bracket. And if you are a contender team, seeds 25 to 40, the top 2 from each group there move on to the loser's bracket round of 16 directly, and the bottom 2 are eliminated. We are going to start our group draw with the contenders. We'll be drawing the first 4 seeds. So seed number 1 for group E, seed number 1 for group F, seed number 1 for Group G, and seed number 1 for Group H from among the top 4 teams, seeds 25 to 28, Turkey, Taiwan, Kazakhstan, and Japan. Let's get into it.
I'm getting so nostalgic looking at this flag interface. This is exactly how we did it back in the past. So let's see which first seed is going to get into Group E. And it is Taiwan.
Yeah, just keep in mind the display names are a little bit incorrect. It says Group A, but it's technically Group E because we're doing it from the top, from the bottom to the top. But Taiwan getting the first slotted in there. Let's see who is next. Turkey
for Group F, and we move into the last 2 teams, Kazakhstan and Japan. We'll go a little bit quickly through these as we've already seen the results, and that is Japan into Group G, and so Kazakhstan by default into Group H. Those are your first 4 teams, and now the somewhat more interesting part, we draw the next 4 teams, Ukraine, Argentina, Singapore, and Vietnam, and see which of these 4 groups, which of these 4 teams they join here for the group stage. I hope the flags will show up. There we are. Now let's see that first draw. Going into Group A with Taiwan, it's going to be Vietnam. Seed number 26 and 32 together. Any thoughts on the matchup?
South Asian matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, good time zones.
Great scheduling.
Yeah, very good scheduling.
Very
Let's see
good
the
scheduling
matchup
for
for
that.
Turkey.
Hopefully it's not Argentina for the scheduling sake, but I guess it is.
And it's Argentina.
Oh, there it is.
I mean, honestly, all of the first 4 teams were a little bit further east than Argentina, so just kind of unfortunate for them. And now we get to the team to join Japan in Group C. Both of these teams are scary in the group stage. It's going to be Singapore, and that means, like last year, we're going to get Kazakhstan versus Ukraine, not in the losers bracket round 1, this time in the group stage, a repeat matchup from last year.
That was a banger of a matchup.
Pretty good schedules for 3 of these groups.
So far, very regionally
groups with only Asian teams.
And then Turkey, Argentina, just having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ignore Turkey, Argentina. That's 14 UTC. Wait.
Yeah, play the Law and Order sound effect and then just go 14 UTC.
Pretty much. Now, now we get to draw the next 4 teams, seeds 33 to 36. And the first set of teams where these are the teams by seeding who are expected not to make it out of groups, the teams looking for an upset. Can they find it with a good group draw here? The first team, Malaysia. We have seed 32 and 33 in the same group, and still a full Southeast Asia group with Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia.
Yeah, it's going to be a hotly contested group for that second spot.
Very, very interesting. Obviously, there's a little bit of a regional rivalry going on between Vietnam and Malaysia. A lot of their players have like their little like cliques and whatnot, but it will be very interesting to see them face off against they're basically, these are the direct seeding like favorites for that number 2 seed, which will make sure they're not eliminated and they actually go to the losers bracket. Let's see the next team.
The next team is surely
Uruguay and Argentina in the same group.
Yeah, exactly. I need Uruguay.
Please, for the script.
There it is.
There's no
Oh
way.
my god.
This is actually scripted.
This
There's
is beautiful.
no way. This is real.
Is beautiful.
W groups.
I
I'm
love
so
group
happy.
stages.
I'm
You
so
have to be
happy.
joking, man. That is too good. Actually rigged groups here. Let's 2 neighboring countries and 2 countries sharing a lot of regional tournaments together. These players are going to know exactly what they need to pick into each other, fighting for that second spot or maybe first. If they can pull off an upset against Turkey, arguably the strongest team here. Let's see the next team for Group G.
Greece?
All right, no real script to have here. Japan, Singapore, Greece. Okay.
Our 35 seed.
Not sure what to think of the group.
Yes, we're just gonna have all Cyrillic-speaking countries in Group D. As we all know, Portugal, a very famous for their Slavic alphabet.
for their Cyrillic alphabet.
At
Yes,
least it's a pretty good schedule group. Pretty good schedule group for Portugal. Get 2 teams that aren't too far away from you time zone-wise.
Yeah, definitely. And now into the last 4 teams in the contenders. Denmark, Belgium, Peru, and Hong Kong.
Please,
Here
Cito,
is
please.
Every single team drawn so far is praying that it's not Hong Kong. Let's see who the first one is. Into Group E. Into the Southeast Asia group.
Goals.
Is it another Southeast Asia team? Denmark.
Group A is saved.
You ruined it!
For Denmark.
Look, Group
Schedule
A
hell.
is so happy not to have to deal with Hong Kong.
Oh, they're very happy.
But now we need Peru.
Yeah, this
Peru?
is gonna be fun.
Please.
Give us Peru. Please.
I'm really unsure who you're looking for. If you are Turkey, Argentina, and Uruguay, surely instead.
Someone take me head, man.
Group D, okay, I have some thoughts, but this is, I think, quite good for Argentina, Uruguay, Turkey. Unfortunately, Belgium qualifying in and having kind of a rough run, so we'll see if they're able to perform in the group stage. It's a tough group. It's a tough group for sure.
All right. Is Hong Kong going with the other 2 Asian countries, though? They could join Japan and Singapore in another majority Asian group, potentially.
Oh,
and it will be that Japan,
That's
Singapore, Greece, Hong Kong. That is a group from hell.
Yeah, one of Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong are not making it, which is going to be rough for one of them.
I mean, two of those 4 teams not making it, I think, is really tough. Especially Greece having just made it into the World Cup. You know, you're hoping for a good group draw. Bam! Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong. Japan and Singapore, 2 teams kind of perennially top 24. Hong Kong, another team that is very much underperformed in the qualifiers, I feel. We'll see how they do in groups. And now, of course, Peru by default into Group D. Which I think is also a group of death with Kazakhstan, Ukraine, by the way.
I think all of these groups are very tough. I think especially Group C, you have a lot of the seeds that kind of like lowered this year with Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Always, like, they all fell down, especially Hong Kong, obviously, notably. But Group D, you have Ukraine, you have Kazakhstan. kind of like proven countries from last year, and you have like very powerful, like kind of on the cusp nations in Portugal and Peru. And meanwhile, you have the Ankara Messi group in Group B, and then you have Southeast Asia, but almost in Group A.
Yeah, Southeast Asia, but with Denmark. That is going to be the funniest schedule of all time. But let's go on to the next groups.
Groups A through D, the challenger groups. Now, as you just saw, we took seeds 25 through 40, made 4 groups. Those were groups E through H. Those teams do not have a chance of making it into winner's bracket. They go directly to loser's bracket if they even get top 2 in their groups. If they don't get top 2, they're eliminated from the tournament entirely. This next set of 16 teams, they have a chance to make it into the winner's bracket to join those top 8 legends with the round of 16 winner's bracket if they get top 2. And even if they don't get top 2 in their groups, they're still in the tournament, just in the loser's bracket in round of 16. Starting with the first team drawn into each group, the top 4 in the challengers set of teams, seeds 9 through 12, China, Chile, Brazil, and Romania. We'll go quickly through these 4. Brazil into Group A.
Brazil.
Yeah, very good seed for Brazil this year, getting to be a top seed in groups. And China as well. That is a group that a lot of teams are not going to want to go into. The top seed in the contenders ranking.
It's a big advantage
really
for
tough.
sure.
And now Chile, our number 10 seeded team, into Group C. And by default, that means Romania, our 12th seeded team, going to be in Group D. And now we get into, once again, the interesting part of these group draws. The next 4 teams in the challengers segment: Norway, Philippines, France, and New Zealand. Where do these 4 teams go? What kind of matchups do we get in the challengers groups between these teams? Let's find out who Brazil's opponent will be in the group stage.
I don't really think there's anything you're looking particularly to see, but Philippines is a very tough draw. I believe they're the highest seed of this pack.
Second highest.
13.
Norway,
Second
yeah.
highest. Okay, Norway, sorry. But it's still very tough matchup, very competent seed. Meanwhile, China, let's see what they get.
Yeah, not really any massive grudge match here,
There's
but
Norway.
still very interesting. Norway, that is already a really difficult group right there. China and Norway, 2 teams that are expected to go further, much further than group stage in this tournament potentially. So whoever draws into Group B is going to have a really tough time. But now France and Netherlands get to choose between Chile and Romania.
Yeah, I
And
think the
Miles,
seeds
you
3
said
and
it wasn't a grudge match.
Netherlands, New
China,
Zealand.
China actually eliminated Norway last year from the tournament 6-0 in top 16, denied Norway that top 12 finish. So it's a bit of a grudge match potentially for Norway, looking to get some revenge for last year's disappointing sweep exit in Group B. Now let's see, New Zealand or France. Gonna be France joining Chile in that group. I think if you were France, you were probably hoping, no shade to Romania, to get them instead. Just Chile is higher seeded, has been more successful more recently. And by default, of course, New Zealand, seed number 16, joining seed 12 in Group D. So far, the 2 lowest seeded teams from both 4-team brackets going into Group D.
It's interesting that we see Romania and New Zealand, both teams that people had a little bit of a shaky expectations towards this year, with Romania kind of reformulating their roster, and New Zealand, basically, nobody really had them on their radar to be this high, but both of them in the same group, and we can get another one potentially in that group in Austria, depending on how the draw goes, so that might be an interesting narrative there.
I mean, so far, Group A and B have the 1 and 2 seeds from their respective groups. We'll see if that continues to be the trend here, as I believe the next 2 are Austria and Indonesia are the next 2 seeds. But it's going to be Sweden instead.
This is a crazy group, man.
This is a rough
Yeah.
group. Yeah, Sweden's a very good
This
team.
is a fun group.
It's fun.
I don't know who you're looking for, though, from these 4 teams, because Yeah, Austria, Indonesia, Spain. On paper, you hear those names and you think they're probably a better matchup than Sweden. But at the same time, two of those teams seeded better than Sweden in the qualifiers, and Spain is really on the come up this year. So you have to fear the hunger from some of those teams just joining this sort of bracket of talent that we have in the top 20 as we get the third team for Group B drawn up here.
Every
Group A
single
looking
team
pretty
wants
tough,
to
but-
dodge this Group B. It's probably the hardest group here, and
Austria.
that is going to be a
Austria.
draw for Austria.
Honestly,
I'm so sorry, guys.
I like this draw for Austria. Hot take. I
Yeah?
think Austria is
Okay.
actually good at skill sets that Norway and China are maybe less good at. They're going to pick streams. They're going to pick Hard Rock into those teams. And maybe
you're
Hard
right.
Rock won't be so successful against China. But they have an inroads into these matches.
and
Yeah,
guys, I gotta say this: the number 1 seed all 3 times so far has been drawn into Group B. China number 9, Norway number 13, and Austria number 17. All of the highest possible seeds are in the same group right now
Exactly.
in Group B. It's looking tough to get out of that one.
So far, that's been the group of death. Yeah, Austria does have that matchup, like, at least foothold that they can get into the matches. So let's see if it becomes interesting or not. Meanwhile, let's sort out the last couple of third seeds here. I hope Indonesia falls in this group. Spain.
Oh, no
Oh.
luck.
Aim.
Instead.
I wanted to keep the white, red, and blue motif, but
And that is also going to deny us the trend on Group D of the lowest possible seed going into that group every single time, as Indonesia moves into Group D by default, Spain going into Group C. I think we're going to have some very interesting matches in these groups with New Zealand being kind of an unknown, not a lot of history to go off. Indonesia typically having a tough time converting on their qualifiers results, maybe with the group stage able to do that here against Romania and New Zealand. And then, of course, in Group C, you have, I think, France and Spain fighting it out for that second spot right now. Spain usually very good in matches. France looking to become one of those teams again.
I mean, can we get Sweden, Finland?
And we get Sweden, Finland.
maybe.
Sweden, Norway,
That
or
would
Norway,
be-
Finland, excuse me.
Sweden, Norway,
I will
Finland,
say,
Norway,
Here's
yeah.
my one observation that is completely unrelated to matchups, but is more regarding scheduling. So far, every group is 2 continents besides one. So the one
Yeah.
group that wouldn't matter for Thailand to get sorted in would be Group A, because they're already screwed. They have Americas,
Yeah.
Europe, and Asia.
Well,
Well,
let's get going.
see if they do get
Here we
sorted
go.
into that one. These last 4 teams trying to fight to get into the winners bracket. Netherlands going to be in Group A. So 2 European countries, 1 American in South America, of course, and 1 Asian for Group A. Not too bad of scheduling, I think, in that group, as the Netherlands, with what I think is going to be a tough time. Brazil, Philippines, Sweden are 3 extremely good matchup teams that typically do quite well, even compared to their qualifiers seeding in the US World Cup.
Now we get to see if the
Italy-
seed 1 trend continues for Group B, if we get Thailand in there.
Italy would throw that whole thing
Oh,
I
that's
just said
4
about
one
Hard Rock
seeds.
out the window,
That
but
is
there's
4
Taiwan,
one seeds.
Thailand. Wow.
Yeah,
That
that
It
is
is a brutal group.
that is a very brutal group. That is the number 1 highest seeded team possible, all 4 times drawn into the same group, and a very, very tough run for all 4 of these teams
Absolutely.
to get out.
All right, now Finland and Italy, between Chile, France, and Spain. Let's see who we get here. This group
Italy
feels
is group
pretty
would be class.
interesting.
There
yeah,
we go.
I really want
France,
Italy here. There it is.
Spain, Italy, Chile. These are like culturally very close countries.
Mhm.
Chile being a little bit of the exception, but they're still part of the Spanish sphere of influence. So very, very interesting group culturally, I guess.
Yeah,
Romance
this is,
language group.
Yes, and I think a very fun group to watch as well. You have a couple of really strong core players, even on the two weaker teams in this group. You have a rebuilt roster for France. You have some really quick improvement for some core players in Chile. I think that group is going to be really fun to watch. And of course, Finland by default going into the last possible group in Group D. Finland, I think, a team with an interesting chance at getting out. They're a team that continually is top 24 in the World Cup year after year. Extremely consistent placement for Finland, so good luck to them there in Group D. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts on these group stage matchups? That's all of the groups drawn. A reminder, the top 8 teams out of qualifiers: Poland, the United States, Australia, Canada, Germany, South Korea, the United Kingdom, and Russia. We will not see them for the next 2 weeks as we go through the group stage with these 32 teams that we have just drawn here tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun groups. There are a lot of very good teams that are going to miss out on moving on just because they got a bit of an unlucky group. But that is how the group stage goes, and that's half the fun, honestly.
I see Group A having like multiple tiebreakers, especially between Brazil, Philippines, and Sweden. Those are going to be some insane matches. And if Netherlands can put some hurt in there too, I'm really excited for that group in particular.
So, just a quick section of closing thoughts. You may think, oh, the seeding is already kind of defined. Why do we have the group stage? The group stage is going to be held in a map pool that's much, much easier and much different than the map pool that we had for qualifiers. A lot of the seeding for qualifiers was decided on how you actually played around a quarterfinal level. That's kind of where the pool difficulty was. And for groups, we're essentially 1 star below that. So, like, a lot of these seedings, a lot of these matchups may get completely thrown, like, out the window, and things can be completely different on a much easier pool. Favors a lot more consistency, favors a lot less, like, a lot more nerve control than those that were displayed in qualifiers, since you could have 2 runs, you'd have a lot harder maps, you could miss more. On this group stage is a lot more about FCing or dying.
I think that is a very good segue into the next and last segment of what is already a 2-hour-long stream. We're going to be getting into the group stage map pool. And so I, as well as iFlame, are going to head off, and we are going to hand this over to the OS World Cup map pooling team. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and let's get into the group stage map pool.
All right, well, not much of a break going on here. I think we'll just be going into it pretty soon. So we're going to be swapping a couple of commentators here. Take the time to introduce. Well, I guess before that, some of the people that are staying, because I think Dada and Miles, you guys are still here. Can't get rid of you yet.
Yo. I'm running all 3 today.
Yeah, a bit of a marathon. We've also got Chiv. Hello.
Yeah, I'm like the diversity hire, Like got a Canadian in the call besides. Actually, never mind. I forgot you're here as well.
Okay.
Well,
And iFlame and Dio.
It begins.
Oh, that was a lot of Canadians actually. Maybe we didn't need another Canadian on the cast. Anyways, hey guys, hope you guys enjoyed the group showcase and enjoyed the qualifiers pool. We've got some very cool maps, both custom and not, for you guys upcoming, and it's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, we've also got one more person with us today. We've got one of the new poolers this year. We've got Batball. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, I'm Batball on OSU. My first year. Very excited to help introduce some fun new hype maps and ruin the gimmick pools.
I don't know if I'd say ruin.
Great addition
You're
to the
supposed
polling
to
team.
save gimmick, man.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I guess it depends who you ask, but I don't think you're ruining anything.
The hope of OWC.
Yeah, and I think Dada, you briefly mentioned this like 2 minutes ago, but this group's pool is going to be a little bit on the easier side, right?
Yes, this is going to be 0.8 to 1 star easier, and a lot of teams that qualified and that kind of struggled on some of the skill sets, for example, reading or precision, they will have a much easier time. This will be a much more familiar kind of difficulty range for them. And I think a lot of those struggles, a lot of those seeding struggles that might have occurred from not having a full lineup, it won't be a problem in group stage. So the matches will be very exciting, hopefully.
Maxi, do you know what the star rating for groups is?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. You would not believe. No, you would not believe what the star rating of this group's pool is, guys. It's gonna happen to be rounding out at 6.7 stars. Very beautiful star rating. Big fan of the star rating for no reason in particular.
Can't believe everybody in chat already knew before you even said it. I wonder why. Yeah, it is worth noting as well. There are 48 matches played on this groups pool. We spent the time to make sure that it's going to be as good as possible for this one. It got a little bit of extra attention since it's played so much. So it should be pretty good. I don't think we need to waste any more time. I think we can just head straight into it. And so we will get into Nomad 1, the first non-custom of OWC. It's going to be Forza, collab by Fursum and Sky Tuna.
Turkey mentioned?
Turkey. Obviously replayed by everyone's favorite Turk, Lucrece? Question mark? But yeah, kind of I believe this is I forgot the actual name of the tournament. It's a Turkish regional tournament, custom, kind of represented in the pool here.
Yeah. One country is gonna have a lot of fun with this map. Hope to see them enjoy a little bit of a cultural tribute. This song, of course, is Turkish as well, and it's a great track. Shout out to Lucrece for the replay as well.
Also known as Turkey Crease.
Also known as LCRS, also known as what did you rename to? Minefield Surfer?
Minefield Surfer.
Oh yeah.
Many names.
Yeah, on the overlay, it showcases the BPM at 132, but this is in 3, so it's more like 198 BPM, kind of, I guess, like wide angle aim, and yeah, it's pretty standard for what you see, I guess, nowadays.
If you've ever played something like Avalon no Oka, which is like another song in 3, it's basically the same kind of like rhythm structure, so to speak, where it's like mostly like triangles and combos of 3, just being very aim intensive. Has a couple of wide angles, has a couple of like more acute triangles as well, and obviously the rhythm is not going to be too tapping intensive. These kinds of songs don't really like lend themselves to having too much 1/6 in this case, but too much like 1/4 equivalent. So it's very aimy, very comfortable, I'd say, for a lot of the aim exclusive players.
Yeah.
Like Chiv.
Yeah. For those who are wondering, yes, this is a little bit of a familiar face for some people who were playing, I believe it was 4WC finals this year, as a Hard Rock one. Decided to bring it back for Nomad because it's a great map and could use a little bit more love. But
I'm seeing in this chat this might have been in 5-digit World Cup as well. Apparently.
Oh, I don't know. People were just like calling this like a 5-digit cup because of the SR. Could be though.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the lowest star ratings we've seen in a while.
No one in 5WC would even be playing OWC anyways, right? So, unless they
you would be surprised. Some guys.
There's a few. There's a few. I mean, there's a certain Birchman on Team Canada.
Yeah.
I think this is also...
Didn't Yaha also play?
Yeah, Yaha should have probably played. And...
Okay, there's a few.
Some of the guys, yeah. Definitely for the lower seeds as well. Like Ruyaya from Taiwan, who probably played 5-digit for a while.
Yeah, kind of. It's weird because ranks don't really mean that much in terms of tourney score anymore. Like, they never did too much, but like, especially in a meta like this, like ranks really don't mean that much. Especially when you consider the star rating is starting off at 6.7.
Yeah, okay.
What is that?
Oh, and look at the star rating for this map as well. Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, like that's what I was saying a lot earlier during the other two showcases. Like, unexpected players are going to become the heroes on this map pool, because at 6.7 star, like, basically everyone who made it through qualifiers is going to be able to play these maps. So just every team's going to be able to bring their best.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time to lock in. I hope the storyboard's on for the stream here. We've got a bit of a special quest for everyone. Somebody needs your help with this Nomad 2 from Rollpan here.
It's on.
Oh my
Beautiful.
god.
You guys
Anyways,
enjoy the storyboard.
yeah. Rollpan for Nomad 2 is going to be the speed map in the Nomad pool. Going to be 7.1 stars because this skill set is crazy overrated. And 230 BPM. And he's
Doesn't it feel good to have the first custom in the entire, like, tournament, not qualifier, but the entire custom for, like, head-to-head matches be this with this storyboard, with, like, this, like, good vibes, like, it's just great, man.
He's gonna break everyone's
beautiful.
combo.
No, Kurage Funya, no!
Some misses. Oh
Yeah,
no!
if you play this with storyboard, you might not want to, because he's going to break your combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, just turn it off. Close your eyes. Doesn't exist. Can't hurt
Walk away
you.
from the screen.
players eating well in this one.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's a bullet hell.
Let's go.
This looks like Toho to me. I didn't think this map was Toho, but this is proving me wrong.
Once again, the Miles agenda.
It's getting pushed every pool, guys.
No.
Chat, we need your help. We need your help,
this-
chat.
We need some help, guys. He's gotta protect everyone's combo. You need to get. You are go-to. Yeah.
I just remember that was Riot. That's all I remember.
All real messages here,
I
by the way.
love the Nico comments.
Let's go, bro. Dot.
I thought that one was Riot's.
Surely that's right.
go,
That's not,
bro.
that is 100% right.
Oh, bro, yeah,
Some-
that's right. That's right.
Anyways, just like every speed custom that gets made, we'll be seeing this in multiple tournaments after OWC. But Rollpan has done a wonderful job. This map is stellar for what it tests. And shout out to Wraith, an American playtester, notorious for his speed.
Many different Discord accounts.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh my god. Yo, do not put him on blast. Do not put him on blast.
Maxi, it's Nomad 3 time. It just keeps getting better, bro.
It keeps getting better. It actually keeps getting better. The next Nomad 3 is a beautiful reading map to start the first 3 maps off in this Nomad pool.
Regarding-
We got Chocolate Disco.
Regarding OWC group stages, this
Chocolate
thing
disco.
is 4
4
stars.
stars.
Guys, we have a 4-star
stars.
map.
Like, if you miss on this map, you might be a noob. If you
I'm a
miss, you
noob.
might be a noob. It's 4
A
stars.
lot of noobs in this call.
I mean, one thing some people may have noticed in the qualifier results for this year is that Hidden 2 capped out around 2.8 mil, and so I feel it's kind of necessary we tone it back a little and bring back our AR7 roots on the Choco Disco. Some kind of entry level for all the teams, but still, you know, quite the reading map, to be fair.
Maxi, I think we talked about this a little bit before, but let's kind of put it out in the public so they have a little bit of the, like, it doesn't come as a shock when it happens.
Yeah.
But we talked about this a lot in internal discussions where a lot of the difficulty of Gimmick before was just making Gimmick harder mechanically. And I think this map and sort of like this kind of archetype, we saw it in Hidden Dream Qualifiers as well. But it indicates the shift that we're trying to do with Gimmick this year, which is, I'm not going to say spearheaded by Maxi, but obviously he's like here to help a lot with this kind of Gimmick shift, which is Gimmick will be harder in the sense of like reading and like unconventional, like stupid kind of patterns instead of just being harder aim-wise or harder mechanically, which I think it was a big issue with like a couple of our previous like finals
Yeah.
and like grand finals hidden and gimmick maps, which they were just essentially like 8-star maps that also had gimmick built in the middle of them. So, Maxi, if you have anything else to talk about that, I think now's a good time.
No, I mean, I think that's kind of mostly what I would also say. Definitely a lot less focus off of, I guess, maybe like aim or tapping aspects from like more of these gimmick skill sets, just so I feel like, you know, the players get the right skill set kind of rewarded instead of maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I just got a DM. This Nomad 3, this Nomad 3 has more reading in the first 20 seconds than Qual's Hidden 2 had in 3 minutes.
Was that Listia, perhaps?
It began.
It might be a player from the Netherlands. It
Yeah.
might
Oh,
be.
it's not! It's not!
It might
It's
be
Gengalzo! What about Blast?
A previous OWC map puller has expressed his concern for the lack of reading in our qualifiers pool.
It's also worth noting, this is relatively on the easier side, right? Like, even for reading difficulty, we thought this was probably too easy, and we kind of just let it be. For it being groups, a lot of people that maybe not super familiar with reading maps like this, it's good that it's accessible, I think.
Also, like, legitimately, the
Yeah,
low
like it's
BPM
4
on this
stars.
map, the low BPM on this map makes it so uncomfortable. Like, it makes it feel like this
No,
sort of
it's-
BPM is like exactly
Yeah.
the range of BPM that makes you like
Yeah.
uncomfortable to.
It's
alternate.
harder than it looks, I
Great
promise.
score,
I
Endura. Great
promise.
score. Anyways, Nomad 4, another custom.
Nomad 4. Back to
Made by-
customs. We're going to be remapping another mode original here from Catch World Cup this year, as well liked. Wispy being, one of the people that has been really active in, I guess, participating in map sets for originals and remapping them from other modes. So we get an opportunity to do that here with Wispy, with Heliosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. I just want to nip the narrative before in the bud. I'm just saying, everyone in chat was like, "Oh, is OWC dead? We're gonna have 6 digits playing OWC." Like, try playing the map that you just saw and see how much of a score you get. I don't think it's gonna be very good.
You try playing this
There's
one.
some-
It's only 5 stars.
Yeah.
Surely
Yeah.
not that hard.
For those who, love slide attack, I think some common complaints for the skill set is like, oh, it's just all aim. You can just cheese every slider, but this map has a slider take in a lot of the longer sliders that you do have to follow through. So it really emphasizes that slider tracing aspect, which makes it feel really, I feel like, complete as a tech package.
Yeah, and also, like, this is kind of a lost art of tournaments. Like, back when we had group stage, it was just kind of expected for maps to be easier and to get a lot of FCs. And it was something called an ACK battle, something not a lot of newer gen players might know a lot about. Oh my god, Imakura. Did anyone just see what he smoked?
Yes, he was.
It looks like he's smoking the average star rating of the map pool.
Yeah, what a great replayer.
OWC is actually ruined.
I hate it, dude.
This
Yeah.
numbers infiltrated every map pooling session. Oh, Shadow Riot, by the way.
Numbers. I don't love numbers.
Nah, 6-7 is too funny, man.
It's all right.
Like, let's just get over it. It's too funny.
It's all right. It's cool. To be honest.
But I think talking a little bit about the mapper, Wispy has made numerous waves, I feel, in the ranked section, especially in the last year or two, right? Picking up on so many sets and really refining multiple mapping styles. So it's awesome to have him come back after last year him debuting with the Orbit, which was also a fantastic map.
Once again, him kind of having this tech-ish, a little bit control-y archetype of map, this time being in group stage instead of qualifiers, but also Nomad instead of hidden, but a thing he's definitely very, very good at.
Yeah, this map is definitely a kind of a gem for lower SR tech picks, I think, and probably gonna be well appreciated later on.
Well, one of the ways that I think we've already shown in the pool is that we're not really shying away from reusing popular maps. One extra change we're doing this year, we're not going to shy away too much from doing edits either. So you may be familiar with this next map. It's going to look a little bit different though. So we can go into No Mod 5. It's an existing map by ZeroPP in Osu. Except it's a little bit of a stat edit here. We've never really done these in OWC before, but we figured it's a pretty good time to do it. We need a very specific map here, and this one kind of just existed. So, yeah.
You might not be familiar with the new metadata, considering it changed completely.
That's right. I think this is all the stats on this are 7.7, I think, like Air 7, CS 7 and stuff. So we toned it down a little bit. It's AR 9 now. Precision aspect is still definitely here. So.
And I already know somebody's like, oh my god, 3 gimmick maps in a row. Don't worry, guys. There's another 14 maps or like 13 we have to get through. They are all coming, but
Yeah, I think most of those picks kind of in that sense were kind of like, I guess, like punted to the beginning of the map pool. So
yeah,
look a little weird.
It's always really funny to see everyone crying that like gimmick has overtaken the entire map pool because we put too much gimmick in Nomad. It's always the same thing, and then they get to DT and suspiciously nobody says anything.
I love was it the Grand Showcase last year where the first half of the pool was like, wow, this is so Australia favored, and then like the last half of the pool was like, wow, this is so USA flavored. Like
flavored.
Just watch the whole pool, man.
Yeah.
Tastes like America.
But something to point out
Not all
people
people
who are
are USA flavored.
not familiar with the song.
I just saw a deleted comment. That was quite funny.
Oh my god, this song has those like beep sounds, and they kind of like suddenly change your gameplay. Otherwise, the map is pretty consistent, so it's a cool track to have in Osu for sure. And shout out to ZeroPP for being super willing to help out with the edit, and Lucrece for the replay, Mr. Minefield Surfer.
Minefield Surfer.
The man of many names.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the hidden pool now. Hidden 1 is going to be an existing ranked map. This one also kind of made some waves. Mirror respawned and made some bangers, and so we're going to use them. Here's Overjoy Overdose, ranked map by Mirror, I think a couple months ago by now. You've got a little bit of finger control here, for the most part. A little bit of aim as well. Kind of exactly what you'd expect from a Mirror map, to be honest.
Yeah, this is Swing Tech. A lot of fair control as well, so this map has a lot of difficulty packed in, has some snap control, has a little bit of flow aim on hidden. And the song
combo.
The song is like 4 artists, by the way. Yo, Alex, do you remember them off the top of your head?
Billiam Moto, Sobrem, Kudokute, and Valley.exe, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a
Impressive.
Did this win BMS Fighters? Or it got really high, right?
I don't know if it won, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of an all-star lineup. Like, those are 4 really, really good artists, so it's nice to see them collab. I think they like made up a like fictional VTuber for this song or something. Like it's meant to like emulate that style. So I don't know. Maybe someone else knows the lore. I just enjoy the music, to be honest.
First pattern of this map in particular is really hard. I think if anyone in here is a player who has practice this pool, you have to take a look at the first pattern, because in all of our test player sessions, everyone just kind of aided on that first pattern, but then stabilized for the rest of the map.
Yeah, there is kind of a nuke at the very start, but it's only at the start, really.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the Dempa map we had in Grants Fremont last year. Like this random stream at the start, and then it was just gone. Back to the Future, I think it was called.
Yeah, the Quarry map, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot the name of it too. Yeah, this is a kind of a. It's odd, but not really. It's like alt plus flow plus snap plus rhythm plus swing.
It might be a 5 skill set map. It is very weird.
I also think this is a good representation of maybe a shift in some of our like pooling ideology, where there's a lot of these like really cool maps that exist that do a lot of different things. And I think whereas before we'd shy away from maps that did too much, we gotta just embrace it now. Maps will just be super hybrid.
Good play, Alex. Good play.
Thank you.
Alright, Chiv, take it away.
Oh, I mean, like, thank you, bro. Hidden 2, gonna be a very, very let's call it a classic. It's going to be Coconut Love by Funny. Oh, that feels so good to say. I don't know.
Original.
The classic Coconut Love, making
You
a
know the-
first appearance.
The Crow comic where the crow is saying caw 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 and then like Boo get better material gets heckled at them. It's kind of me with Coconut Love, but I've kind of just accepted it at this point.
Dude, this
Anyways,
map, like,
a lot of
before
dedicated
this,
fans
it was
on
in
this
that
map.
pile of maps. Yeah, it's one of the Chiv classics.
What happened to the chip replay? Oh my god, I got so mind blocked on this. I was gonna crash out. I kept missing on the aim, bro. It was too
My
much.
replay is only
I'm
here 'cause
surprised-
we're above now, guys.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm surprised you haven't mind blocked before, considering how many times you've pulled this.
And then I just got DM sleep with one eye open.
Whoa!
Was that night again?
Anyway, who else, bro? Who else? Anyways, Coconut Love, very renowned all-around the area map, has a lot of overlap breeding, has a lot of flow aim, and some aim as well. It just got everything, bro. It does it all. Got a little bit of mechanics in your area slot. Got a couple streams coming up in this section.
This kills the Chimber.
This is gonna be the greatest mind block test ever. Congrats to those who have managed to dodge this map for the last 4 years of tournaments.
Yeah, and if you didn't dodge groups here, then you're gonna have to play this map potentially in 3 matches. So good luck not mind blocking.
Anyways, also shout out to this was a custom for Nick's Winter Cup, I think 2021 or 2022, one of the years. But very awesome. And I think this is one of Funny's like debut 20 maps at the time. So just a great
I
callback.
I've seen at least 7 different tourney players collectively groan in chat.
Guys, I don't think Dada likes this map.
I like this map. It's just that I see Musty intercamping Listia, Skilla, who is that one? Lucrez has said it. Knight has PM'd you. Schwartz.
Well,
Like, it's too many, bro.
I'll counteract it. I like this pick, guys. Good job. I've never played this map before.
The guy hasn't played 20s in 4 years. This map is great. I got bad news.
Yeah.
I have bad news.
Wow.
Anyways, Hard Rock 1.
Everyone's gonna
be-
love this one. Big events, community events here with Kyoku producing Alien Friend Request here from our beloved Melon Boy and his friends. And yeah, we've got Alien Friend Request here, Hard Rock 1.
I think this map, if you guys have played in tournament, I think I've only seen people say this is the best map of the year. And, you know, Melon Boy does it again with Alien Friend Request. I mean, actually, it's not just Melon Boy, right? It's Chai the T and TC as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, got some 200 BPM, it's like half, kind of like a mechanics map. Got a lot of aim, got a lot of flow.
Oh yeah, shout out Rap GPO for the replay. Big addition to our
Love
test
it.
playing team.
Oh,
yeah, isn't this Melon Boy singing as well?
I don't remember.
He made the song.
I don't remember the full dynamics of like
Yeah.
the team entry, but it is one of those contests where you have to do everything. So everything here, the song, the art, the map is all original. So
Here's
and
a-
especially when you have like
interesting-
people like TC on the team, I think I'd assume they'd be mapping as well. So
Here's an interesting little thing. People might say, "Oh, this doesn't really feel like a mechanics Hard Rock 1." It's kind of everything. Again, we have the same kind of dynamic with Hidden 1, where there's a lot of stuff in this map that like makes it not just a straight consistency / mechanics Hard Rock 1, but because it's such a good map, we wanted to put it in anyway, because that's kind of what we're about. We want to just put good maps in.
Cool maps over balance. That's the agenda.
Maintaining the agenda is our #1 priority. Isn't that right, Maxi?
I love agenda
Oh.
pushing. At Riot.
That was so targeted. Oh my god.
Agenda pushing even more than me, guys.
That wasn't targeted.
promise.
I literally just
I
hadn't heard him
promise.
speak in a while.
No, I'm just taking in the map, dude. It's beautiful. It's just
It's
beautiful.
enjoyable.
Yeah, this map makes Hard Rock fun.
I just say don't look at the star rating. Like, when are we gonna get over this, guys?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, the star rating, guys.
New meme, 6-1.
Wait, like you have 6, and then you have the point, and then you can choose between 7 or 1.
I hate it here.
You know it's bad when Shiba's saying shut the fuck up.
And 100 people just left the stream.
I'm going to strangle you. Oh god.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to have like more like bespoke music in World Cup, and I think we kind of like stepped that up this year even more. So expect more original music.
Oh, what a great segue, Maxi.
Yeah, you're right actually.
Wow.
What a great segue, because yeah.
I mean, I guess it's time for the first LWC original. People have been asking. It's now. So I really wanted to have a song here that's meant to be pretty accessible, you know, especially for groups, even for people not even playing in the tournament. So we grabbed a brand new artist. I've had them on my radar for a while, and they've got a real jammer for us today. So let's welcome Osu's newest featured artist and take a look at Show Off Showdown.
If you'd all like to move to the dance floor, move to the funky beat.
Let's see you try and take this away.
That's Show Off Showdown from Memo Demo, who's joining the featured artist with 6 other tracks, I believe. And we've got a wonderful map here featuring some precision from Chaos Slits, the illustration from Antlion, and graphics design from Alex Dunk Panthulu, and a bunch of design quality assurance from Pineapple and Zeth. As always, massive thank you to Sakura006 for organizing these and getting these design projects pushed out for everyone. It's really nice. And as well as replay from Riot. There is one extra edition. I briefly mentioned this last week in the showcase as well, but seeing as this is the first original, we are making a pretty solid effort here for every single one of these to have full sets and ranked pretty much immediately. Usually that would mean after the matches are played. However, this one we needed to use a separate difficulty for OWC. So this map in specific, this will be the only one, has a separate map set that should be ranked essentially ASAP. Might be ranked like in 2 hours, who knows. So if you really like the song, you'll have a qualified set to go play no matter what difficulty you play. Yay!
Yeah, for those who love talking about map pool balance, that's going to be kind of our third altish map of the pool. You still have Chocolate Disco at the start, which is like reading gated, and you had Hidden One, which is like swing tech. Gonna have a precision alt pick for you guys on the Hard Rock 2 to match, kind of contrast the Hard Rock 1, which is mechanics, and then No Mod 5, which was like a precision, almost like aim map. So should feel very engaging to play. And shout out to Chaos Slits for a beautiful project.
It's so peak.
It's really awesome, yeah.
It's great. First of many great originals this year.
Or not. Maybe this is the only one. Who knows?
All right,
Yeah,
Miles.
this is the only original,
It's time
guys.
for time for Miles fan service.
Agendas. There are agendas to be pushed, and this one is mine. We brought Lucent in. He didn't want to come back, but I brought him back on the condition he only maps this song, and he said yes.
Miles, what are your thoughts on Bakusan Nyanyang?
Don't even joke, lad. It's
Beautiful.
peak.
No, Max. Like you get caught up for agenda pushing, but like we're not even trying to hide it anymore with this DT1. Like,
It's fine. It's actually fun.
It's worth noting we're supposed to have a
one.
Miles replay, but he was so excited about having this map in that he played the wrong map, and so the replay is broken. Sorry.
He
So,
pre-fired.
we have Milkyism instead.
I pre-fired. I mean, Milkyism's a lot better. Mine, his scores in FC with really good act. Mine was like 95%, and I missed at the end. So this is probably better, anyways.
anyways, to talk a little bit about this map, it's gonna be kind of your average DT1. A little more on the topping side. I feel like there's actually a good amount of triples and bursts in this map, so kind of giving that hybrid feeling. And it's 10.3, so gonna be quite difficult to read if you're not comfortable. But like, it's 2025, bro. Like, come on.
I'm sorry. Like, back in my day, if you had a 10.3 in groups, people would call you, like, names. Now things have changed a lot. And, if this map wasn't 10.3, it would feel very, very, like, easy. Even on 10.3, it's still easy. Like, this is comfortable for a lot of people. This AR ranges are funny things.
Yeah, I mean,
This
people
was
are just so
changed.
comfortable.
This
Note
was
that,
made 10.3 to be more comfortable, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, it was originally AR 8.8 base. That's what I replayed it on.
And then we buffed it up because it was like, might as well. I think like people are gonna be like, wow, this is a 7.1 star map in my 6.7 pool. This might have the highest average.
Yeah.
This might be getting 4-way every single time if we've learned from anything from previous round of 32s. So I think people are gonna find a lot of comfort with this.
That's just DT1. You make the map like 3 stages too hard, and then it's still the highest scoring map.
Yeah, everyone is just so good at mechanics now. Like, it's just what everyone farms, so everyone's good at it, so we don't really need to look at AR anymore. Well, I mean, cut that, we do, but like, we don't need to care if one map is 10.3 or 10.5 or something.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of like the second DT1 in a row that's like featured some sort of tapping element alongside the aim element, and I think that's like maybe like more of a shift that we might be doing as well, just like in general, like introducing like I guess more kind of tapping elements throughout more of the DT pool. And yeah, definitely seen with this map.
Can I
Bad
talk
man.
about the next one? Because that one is my agenda. I fight for it every single day. Number one, Denkari Fen and this whole pooling team.
Yep.
Right here, yes sir, that's me. Elder Things by Last Day. This is our tapping DT. You might recognize a lot of the not a lot, but like a lot of the concepts of like the finger control and like odd and even numbered bursts in Qualifiers DT2. That got kind of like transferred to this map, obviously in an easier way because it's group stage. But it's exactly what you'd expect. If you had a good time in Qualifiers for DT2, this is going to be a good time for you, I think.
I think this is the number one choice for any team that wants to pick speed. I think they're gonna love this one more than even the Nomad 2, because this one is like properly speed gated. Like if you aren't a very seasoned tapping player, you're not gonna have a good time on this one at all. Well, I think the Nomad 2 is more accessible.
Yeah. Also, to note, I think people actually, this map might be kind of like, for how overweighted other speed maps are, this one only sits at 6.8, and throughout a lot of playtesting, people have said this map is easily hard enough for group stage, so gonna be excited to see the scores on this throughout the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
It's like our hardest tapping map.
Yeah. For
It absolutely is.
yeah. Compared to the rest of the pool.
Wait. Oh yeah, Chicone, replayer by the way. Shout out Chicone.
Yeah, Chicone
I'm sure we'll see him a lot.
Stepping back from the Russia team just to give us a little bit of a hand. We always have a couple of those every year. This time it's like the Chris, Chicone, Rapupio, people like that. Henry did it twice in a row.
That section was quite straining. Might be seeing some double taps.
Chiv is like, his hand is hurting from just seeing.
No, my hand is actually hurting from watching the stream, bro. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's pretty hard.
We love speed.
Yeah, it's just it's a shame that a lot of the maps that have really good songs are completely inaccessible to me because I don't have the genetics.
Yeah. On to DT3.
Time to take the tablet out of the closet.
FCZ isn't here, but this is his.
FCZ is not here. Yeah, this is his. The Chinese song in the group's pool.
Is that the FCZ agenda?
Yeah. Talking about song diversity, we have a Turkish song and now got some more nationalities spread around, so it doesn't just have to be 80% Japanese and the occasional English pick.
Oh, this song is really good though.
But yeah,
China got 9th seed. Could you imagine how awkward it would have been if we had like this whole bit planned and then they just skip groups?
that would have been crazy. I think for those who are wondering where the Nomad 3 went, this is kind of the in-spirit replacement. Gonna have this snappy DT alt pick. And Flask did a wonderful job. It feels really fun to play. And yeah, got a lot of zigzags like that as well.
That triple killed a lot of people. As did many others.
I never noticed how short this is. Like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's very, very short. I think there's a little bit of an intro as well, if I remember correctly. no, it's fine. I just didn't think DT3 would be Chinese.
Yes. Oh my god, somebody really typed that.
They did.
People are saying that in the Twitch chat.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, this is, because we have group stage back, this is going to be, I think, the new most played map pool of the tournament because it's 2 weeks. Usually it's qualifiers every year, but now we get another map pool where we're going to be running up those play count numbers, and a lot of cool maps in this pool. I'm really happy with it.
I'm pretty sure group stage alone has more matches than the rest of the tournament combined.
Yes. It's 48 matches, 6 per group. There's 8 groups. So it's a lot of matches over 2 weekends. Obviously, we couldn't really squeeze 48 matches in just one weekend, I think would be live 24/7. But
It's a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, free mod 1 gonna be a very pretty well-known map. I feel like Jazag is gonna be making an appearance with Eyes on Me as our free mod, kind of like circle flow tech pick.
Yeah, way less sliders in this one compared to I guess Nomad 4, which is our main other like tech pick of the pool.
And it is an air edit down to 9.2 to make it a little more difficult on the Nomad and hitting with that density. And not making Hard Rock completely out of the water in comparison.
Yeah, I guess this is one more map in this pool that's gonna have an edit. They're not gonna be too common, but sometimes you just have that map that like almost works, and you know the mapper is available to take a look and make it work. So got an era edit for this one. Jazag seems to have a very unique way of mapping that seems to work pretty well for free mod pools lately. I don't know why.
Yeah, Sab is like really
one of those
short.
mappers where like you're looking for something and you can't find it, and you look at a Jazag map and he's got it like every time.
Yeah, for sure. Sab's like probably one of the shortest maps in the map pool. Only at 1 minute 48, and I think it also has like maybe like 10 seconds of downtime each before each chorus. So yeah, it's definitely goes over quick. So kind of alleviates the I guess higher SR than like Nomad 4 with that difficulty or with that length. Sorry.
And every break matters. Can't afford to have early misses on a map this short.
Shout out Schwartz for the replay.
Yeah.
Yep.
On to free mod 2.
Free mod 2.
Oh my god!
Nightmare Invitation.
The stream map!
Here's the stream map.
Stream map is back. This is the data pool format of the stream map and the free mod pool.
I take the Nomad Chew and put it somewhere else.
It's a great idea.
Wait, this one is unintentionally another agenda. We've got another MWC original here. This might be Mango's agenda for trying to convince everyone to like reuse a lot of these great songs that are made for all the events. So we got one more.
For sure. I think people always talk about, you know, OWC originals, but they don't realize how good some of the other game modes get it as well. Like, there's some crazy names and some crazy songs being made out there. And this is not the first in our pool, and not going to be the last in the tournament either. But yeah, I think, oh, we just said the exact same thing.
Yeah, we did. Polar Mind Virus. But
actually,
like, this map, the real like point of putting streams in free mod is that hidden streams are obviously like very, like they're a lot less comfortable than Nomad streams, and Hard Rock streams obviously get mechanically a lot more demanding. So by combining those two things, you can just have a Nomad Chew, which is generally a pretty straightforward, and I'm not gonna say boring because there's people who really like it, but like very like binary. You either are good at it or you aren't, and just get it a little bit more spicy, to quote a fellow pooler from ages past.
Yep, 6.73 stars. Typical for a stream map, be on the higher end of SR in the pool. Gonna go above 7 with HR.
Wow. I'm proud of you guys. No one said it.
Said what?
Nothing.
We're going.
Yeah.
6-7.
Okay, like, whatever, man.
Just move off.
Shout out to Selena for the map. Very, very consistent mapper in general. And, you know, thank you to Recrease for the replay once again. On to the final map of the pool that's not tiebreaker. Free mod 3.
Oh, this one's a banger. This one's a banger. It's going to be an existing map from Deca here. You might get
This is the first non-FC, right? For replays?
Oh, he didn't FC?
Think so.
I mean, well, he also didn't FC the Hard Rock one.
Okay, well that was the last slider, so that doesn't
Yeah,
count.
no, that
That was an FC.
that's a spiritual FC.
Anyways, this is gonna round out our aim for the map pool. It's gonna be like a 250 BPM hybrid, almost like an alt-like aim map. So you can either single tap or alt this depending on your preference, but it's gonna be 250 or 125.
The non-hard rock stats on this, it's CS4 air 9.5, and I think the Fremont balance, the Fremont balance on this, I think should be pretty interesting because I guess there's still a little bit of a worry about like trying to balance each mod for tournaments, but I think this is kind of going to be a unique case where I think for a lot of people here, hard rock might just strictly be harder. Like you might be tanking if you're taking this, but in a way that's kind of like that's a strategy to go into, right? If you've got that hard rock player, or if you know the other team doesn't, because in OWC you need one hit and you need one hard rock minimum, right? So even though this is definitely harder than groups, if you're playing this on hard rock, you can kind of take that to your advantage, you know, if you've got like that skill cap player.
You have one guy who's going to be a little bit nuked, but the rest of the team is going to play a different game, and you're going to be kind of in the weird sort of 1v1 with the other teams. A little bit more personal, a little bit more intimate. I don't know why that sounded a little bit weird.
Everything, man. Like, whatever, bro.
I do. Like, I say words recreationally. You should know that about me by now.
Oh, speaking about this map, this next section is really cool. But
honestly,
yeah,
this whole map is really cool. I love when you have like kind of 50-50 between an alt map and an aim map, but when it's lower SR before it's like high SR and it becomes a speed map, that's always annoying. But on this SR, it's really comfortable, I think.
I think the kids would call the higher SR aim/alt maps a different thing rather than a speed map. I think they would call it an aim slot, I believe. But this is
that's when you go even further.
To go even further beyond the star rating and become stupid. But yeah, this is still like a lower SR, which ends up feeling like this kind of mix between a little bit of flow. You see a lot of patterns be just like 3 linear notes, and then you just see like a jump just be like spliced in between, and then you see squares, then you see like actual like triangles and very acute jumps. It's an interesting map, and like an interesting way to introduce aim that we kind of took away with the Hard Rock 1 as well, which will be quite fun.
This one's also really long.
Really long. Hey, Chiv.
Hey, what's up?
Can you talk to Miles about what a really long map is? I heard you're very familiar with them.
You guys will see some very long maps. Maybe not in OWC though. in some other familiar tournaments.
In some Bob?
But in some Bob for sure next week.
No, that was your agenda last year. Like, it's over now.
Yeah, my agenda that got pushed for one map in Grand Finals. Yeah, man. Yeah, like I mean, thank you. Anyways,
right.
Oddly enough, that's actually a really good segue into you know, as this is closing out. There's TB left. A lot of people are asking, because last year we did all TBs were originals. There were a lot of really good full-length maps that we didn't really get an opportunity to use. Like, if a map was like 5 or 6 minutes or something, it just didn't have a place in OWC. Because all the TBs were originals. So we are still going to have them. However, this one is not. We're going to have an existing map here because we thought it was really good. It's really fun. It's a bit of a throwback as well. So we've got a ranked map here. Destin Victoria Hard Dance Mix by Tanoshi Enjoyer going to be the group stage tiebreaker.
this is like, you know, like when you were like young and watching 2016 groups or 2017 groups and watching like the tiebreaker just be some like aim and stream, just non-stop consistency mix. This is pretty much the callback to it. And I think it really fits the group vibe well. That's a beautiful Nightcore.
Yeah, it's a Nightcore mix of I have no idea how to describe this. Alex is usually more familiar with terms than me, but this kind of feels like one of those, like, you know, the monochrome kind of asterisk remixes. That kind of genre where it's like anime, and then like you have an anime song, and then you kind of like just splice it up and then speed it up, put some 1/4 through it, and then all of a sudden you just get a cute little mechanics map.
Yeah, it's very. You're right though. Like, this is pretty hard to put into words, to be honest. There's a certain like nostalgic feeling almost from this type of music, and Osu specifically. Like, I think it is suiting the group stage very well, seeing as we're bringing it back. You know, last time was 2017, so or 2018 maybe. I forget. But you know, this type of music I think used to have a lot more presence, and there's been a couple of mappers lately that have kind of been bringing this one back, making some really good rank maps out of it that are, you know, featuring more modern mapping styles. So I think to me this kind of evokes that same level of like nostalgia that like a lot of the older maps like that used to have that we don't really see too often these days. I'm not sure if other people can relate to that feeling, but yeah.
For reference, I think the last ever group stage, I believe, was OWC 2018. The tiebreaker for that was a Captain / Skystar collab of XU, if people know that map.
Wow. That could be DT in Grand Finals these days.
Yeah. Wouldn't feel out of place.
Yeah. I would also like to say, usually if I'm pulling like, or if we're pulling a non-custom map, I always try and reach out to the mapper. This mapper seemed ecstatic that the map was actually to be, you know, played in OWC. So if you guys have just the time, I urge you guys to send a little bit of love their way in either the beat map comments or wherever you find fit. And I think they would really appreciate it.
Yeah,
your mic is a little bit struggling, but
it's trying.
It's the message that counts.
Yeah. Also, like, I think interesting, like, balancing dynamic. You usually don't think a tiebreaker really matters in this sort of like full balance as a whole, but I think it's kind of interesting to see that we, for a lot of people, I think we might have like a little bit less straightforward mechanics in the pool. Just in general, we have like a lot of variety. Like a lot of the mechanics maps also do some other stuff. If you get to tiebreaker in spite of that, and you're like a mechanics favorite team, I think having a mechanics tiebreaker kind of balances it out in a weird way.
It's also worth noting there's a lot in this map. Like, it's not really a focused skill set map. I guess you could probably say this is mostly an aim map, but like the tapping part of this really isn't that bad. Even though it's 200 BPM, even for group stage, I can play this. So
yeah,
the tapping part of this I don't think is really much of a problem. There is a little bit of an aim spike. Like, we'll see it pretty soon. It's hard to miss, but outside of that, this is just really enjoyable across the way. Like, there's not a single pattern in here that's like frustrating or like takes your attention. It kind of just like plays itself. Like, it's just really comfortable.
It's kind of a weird mix where aim players will say it's a flow aim map, and then flow aim players will say it's an aim map.
Yeah, the type is also, with being 6 minutes, it's also very dense and goes all the way up to 3,400 combo. And I think it's been a while since we've seen, I guess, that much combo. Just in, I guess, OUC period.
This part here, I think you could probably say is the hardest part of the map. These jumps here are a little bit harder than the rest. 2.6 combo in it can be a little hard, but
they're comfy jumps, but they're just like very big.
Yeah.
There's no break in this map, right?
Nope. I don't think so.
I was gonna say it's missing that core like nerve-wracking break at the like 3/4 mark to make everyone see everyone else's scores.
There's like a spiritual break, I guess, when the sliders become very close together, or like a 3/4 slider section. But like that's enough to adjust grip, but it's not like enough to press tab, because why would you press tab? You're playing a tiebreaker, you stupid man.
This may be worth like mentioning. This is kind of rare, but outside of one GD on Prismatics, this is mapper's only ranked map.
There they go, man.
And it's just kind of really good and enjoyable. Like, you don't really get to see that too often. Let alone
It's a wholesome
being
map,
in
honestly.
OWC. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
For sure.
As always, bit of a corporate message, but if you guys have any feedback for the map pool, feel free to DM any of the map poolers or leave your feedback in the feedback channel. Or just put it on Reddit or Twitter, dude. Like, just do whatever, man. Somebody will read it. But thank you guys so much for watching the showcase.
Yeah, and with it being group stages, again, as a reminder, they last for 2 weeks. So we will not be here next weekend because the group stage will still be going on. So the next showcase for round of 16 is going to be 2 weeks from now. So many matches to be watched on this pool. Hope it's going to land. And both OS live streams, I'm sure I'm going to be really busy with a lot of matches. 48 matches, guys. That's a lot. We're also going to be bringing a lot of extra staff, extra manpower to help that happen. So you might be hearing a couple of interesting new voices just for group stages. Just a little bit of spice. So that should be pretty fun to watch. You know, no matter if you're particularly even cheering for any team there or anything. I think, you know, if you enjoy OC tournaments or any World Cup at all, I think it should just be really fun to watch. So with that being said, do you guys have any closing thoughts on the pool or anything?
I hope in like a twisted way that everyone is bored of the pool by the end of the 2 weeks, not because the pool is boring, but because you have watched so many matches that the pool will feel like second nature to you and you'd be very excited for the next one. And I hope everybody in the group stages has a lot of fun playing the pool. I hope everybody does their best, and really we have an exciting group stage to look forward to. So thank you guys so much for being there. Chiv, Miles, Maxi?
We brought back group stage because it's fun, so hoping everyone has a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the whole team is like very proud of this pool, and I am too, and hope you guys just have fun on fighting for your lives.
Yeah, final message from me. I think really happy again with how you guys are, you know, responding to all the feedback and stuff. It's been awesome, and we're going to keep delivering as much as we can as we head into the latest stages of the tournament. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I guess we're going to wrap it up from there. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week for some group stage, and from the pooling team, we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks after that. Take care, everyone.
It slipped right through my fingers. It slipped right through my fingers. You said never let me go. It never worked out fine. I watched it fall